So you will have the possibility to later watch the recording in case you don't have the time to follow the whole event today, or you can double check something later on. The recording will be uploaded on YouTube. But furthermore, we are actually also live on Facebook at the moment. So welcome to everyone as well who's joining us on Facebook. And the event recording will also stay up on Facebook. So there's more than one option for you to watch the recording later on as well. As we have quite many participants today, the microphones and cameras of the participants will be turned off throughout the event, but you have the possibility to ask questions in the chat box. So whenever you feel that there's something you would like to ask or something you would like to know more about a specific presentation, just write your question in the chat box and we will make sure to answer those questions. But now I would like to hand over the word to Piret Hartman, who's the Undersecretary for Cultural Diversity at the Estonian Ministry of Culture. And she is responsible for facilitating the conditions for the development of cultural life of national and ethnic minorities living in Estonia, for supporting the development of cultural life and activities of Estonian expats living abroad, and for the development and development goals for integration and adoption policies. So please, Piret.
Thank you, Renate. Very complicated, but yes, dear students, dear partners, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy that the Federation of Estonian Students Union was asking me, because almost 20 years ago, I was also working for this organization and even leading it. So I'm very happy to give you the best regards from the Ministry of Culture. And yes, we are right now also responsible of the integration and adaptation questions here in Estonia. I'm very glad that you made the decision to study in Estonia. And I'm very, very much hope that this experience have been for you excellent, interesting, and also inspiring. I think it is very, very important that our university communities are international, because this makes them more open, more innovative. When I was 18 years ago a student activist, and we often met with the leaders all over the Europe. And one of our most important values was that higher education mobility. This was the most important for us. This we were respecting and always supporting. And still now, I think that this should be our main values also in the future. The last year haven't been for sure easy for you. All this Corona case, and I think especially for the students, it's hard, because it's not only about studying in a university, it's also about being actively social and meeting new people, going out, talking, discussing about the things. So I'm very unhappy that you couldn't do it, but I hope the things are changing. And I hope that some of you will find also not only the possibilities to study here, but also continue in working, because it's not only the universities who need international communities and environment, but also our private sector, our public sector, our organization, because this makes them also bigger and more innovative. And I'm glad and very thankful that here you have already some organizations who have experience with the international work, with the different people in the team. Thank you for being also here and being open for everybody. What I see is preparing a little bit today's little speech for you, I looked all the things what the state have already done in this field, what we have done for the students, what we have done for the different firms, working market, and so on. And of course, there are many steps what we have done, and we are happy that actually we see that the students are satisfied with studying here. But we still see many problems in the working market. And I hope that also with today's discussions and talks, if you find something that we could do better, then please let us know. We are very open for feedback to be better also as a state in these questions. And in the end, I very much wish you a nice summer. Estonian summer is not very nice always, sometimes rainy, but as today you see, it can be also sunny and warm. So I hope you will have a lot of joy enjoying this environment and nature, but also the other people. So I wish you a nice event today, many good thoughts, many good connections, and a nice staying also and living in Estonia. Thank you.
Thank you, Piret. And now we can start with the first session. So I'm happy to hand over the word to Jay, please.
Hello, everyone. It's great to see so many of you here. My name is Jay Zameska, and I'm a council member for the Federation of Estonian Student Unions. I'm also an international student just like you, so I'm really happy to be moderating a session at an event that's designed for international students in Estonia. In the upcoming hour, the Federation of Estonian Student Unions will present to you 4 fascinating organizations and companies that employ people from different fields of study. Not only do these organizations do groundbreaking work, but they also function in international settings. All of the following companies have designed jobs or internship programs that are accessible for international students. Today we have with us Let's Do It World, the Estonian Refugee Council, Starship Technologies, and WISE. This and the last session of the day are organized as part of the Federation of Estonian Student Unions project, Growing Ties, Student Democracy in a Transnational Era, which is supported by the project I Am European, Migration Stories and Facts for the 21st Century. The project is funded by the European Commission, the National Foundation of Civil Society, the Estonian Ministry of Culture, and the Estonian Ministry of Foreign Affairs from funds for development cooperation and humanitarian aid. As already mentioned, you are more than welcome to ask the presenters questions. We will have a Q&A round after each presentation, so make sure to post your question in the chat box during the presentation. Don't wait until the end or until another session. But now, I would like to present to you our first guest, Let's Do It World. Let's Do It World is the largest environmental organization formed by active teams and member organizations in more than 160 countries. Let's Do It World organizes the biggest one-day coordinated civic action called the World Cleanup Day, which has since its initiation in 2018 brought out more than 50 million people from 180 countries. This year, World Cleanup Day happens on September 18th. Our speaker today is Ingrid Nielsen, Head of Global Marketing and Communications. Ingrid, please, the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you very much for this kind introduction, and welcome to everyone attending this session. I'm really happy to meet you all. And yes, please do leave all your questions in the chat so I'll be able to answer them. So I'll start sharing my presentation because you can't have a webinar without a presentation nowadays. There we go. So my name is Ingrid Nielsen, but today I'm not solely representing here Let's Do It World, the non-governmental organization founded in Estonia, but also we are calling people to take action. And yes, we want you in our team as our Earth representatives mostly. So what is the problem? Every year, 2 billion tons of waste is generated, and majority of this actually ends up in nature, either via pollution or in actual litter. And the issue is getting so big that not a single corner of this planet isn't a place where there isn't waste. So if we would put it into numbers, each of you volunteering would have to pick up each year 50 tons of garbage in order to rid our planet from waste. But we believe that it's not just about the litter and the waste. So let's go back to our humble beginnings that started in 2008 in Estonia with zero budget in 7 months and with about 1,000 helpers in the forms of partners and volunteers. The one-day cleanup action was born. 50,000 Estonians came out and in 4 hours collected 10,000 tons of illegally deposited waste, literally cleaning up the whole country in one day. This was not kept under the wraps. People heard about it, especially our neighbors, Latvia and Lithuania. And within just a few months, they also organized their first one-day cleanups. But this didn't stop there. So 2008, we're talking about 3 countries. In 2012, that was already 96 countries that had heard about this success story and wanted to do it also in their home countries. And in 2020, we find ourselves with more than 160 countries as our network members. And this network is called Let's Do It World. So this is how we look like. It's only a fraction of our members and leaders and team members, but this is how we meet every month, even sometimes more often. And we have 164 countries right now with active teams. And we are present via our partners in up to 180 countries, and that number is still growing. We don't have much left to grow, only about 14 to 16 countries or territories to cover, but we are everywhere by now. And this is the headquarters. The headquarters is still located in Estonia. We are a small team of 8 people and lots of volunteers coming in for different projects. And we are located right in the center, but as you could see from the previous slide, we very often do remote working. So you could be tuning in to work with us from anywhere in the world, in any time zone. So the office is just a nice place to have, but we are actually everywhere all around the world, and especially in our summer houses right now. All right, so what is our goal? Our goal is to get a waste-free world, of course, but that requires some major effort. We need to have 5% of each country's population on board in order to achieve truly circular economy and truly zero waste world, where no waste is wasted, but it is rather seen as a resource. Some countries have already reached that 5% of population threshold, and they have started major projects to change their economies. So this is what we keep doing each and every year, engaging people, empowering them, and creating a better world. In 2018, now let's get to how do we do this? 5% of population engaged. That's the good news. It is possible. So World Cleanup Day was born in 2018. And in the first year, 157 countries took part in one-day cleanup action. The Green Wave started in New Zealand. All the cleanups followed along and ended up in Hawaii 36 hours later. And by today, with this one-day activity, we have engaged more than 50 million volunteers all around the world and in more than 180 countries who have come and participated in World Cleanup Day. When we talk about that 5%, that's what we mean, because we see World Cleanup Day as a catalyst to start the change in society. It starts people talking about the issue and trying to find solutions to do it. And when we talk about Estonia, 5% is not that many, it's 50,000 people. But in US, 5% is 19 million people. And in China, it's 70 million people. but we are not far behind. Last year, Indonesia had 7 million people participating, and that is a major thing for such a small country. So what else do we do? Because we don't do only that. Each year in January, we have a 4-day conference, which starting from this year is now virtual. And we had 2,500 people participating from all around the globe. We had more than 70 speakers, more than 30 webinars and sessions to up the skills of future leaders. So this is something that we do as well. We empower future leaders to become the change makers in their society. And then starting from last year, we also have Digital Cleanup Day. Each thing that you do on the internet, on your devices, actually creates data. And that data clutters up, especially when you think about all the photos and videos that you keep on your devices and that are constantly backed up into our cloud. So we have to also start thinking about the digital waste that we create. And that's why we brought to life Digital Cleanup Day, which this year will start campaigning already in October because it's one of the themes of Dubai Expo. And then we are not done yet. We also have lots of localized regional projects, educational projects, recycling, composting, zero waste, and circular economy. And we'd like to invite you to be part of this, all of this. Whatever piques your fancy, you're welcome to jump on board and come help. We always say that no matter what your interests are, if you have what it takes, you are a positive person, you are a doer, you like to cooperate with people from all around the world, just drop us a line and we can hook you up. You can volunteer for global projects, you can volunteer for regional projects, or you can even, through us, volunteer for your local team from your own home country and help them out as much as possible, while staying right here in Tallinn and being in the vibe of the headquarters. So we need literally anyone. Whatever you want to try out, you can come and try out with us. We translators, event organizers, and that means physical event organizers, but also virtual events, webinars, conference, project managers to help us pull through all of those lovely and very useful programs that we run throughout the year, but also researchers, data experts, communication specialists, marketing gurus, social media addicts, IT people, moderators, presentators, whatever is your fancy. And this is not even what we want. If any of these positions is something that you would like to strive towards, then come join us, because you'll be able to build up all sorts of different skills while volunteering for us. And of course, you can volunteer a couple of hours of your week, or 20 if you have that many, and pick your project, what you're most interested in, and really get to know all these wonderful people from all around the world. So People for the Clean Planet, looking forward to hearing from you soon. I left the email address right here, info@worldcleanupday.org. Just tell us a little bit about you, what you would like to do, what you're most interested in. Ask us any questions, and let's get this party started. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ingrid. Now I'll ask the questions from the chat. To start with, we have a question about whether it's okay to connect with you on LinkedIn. Can people contact you on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. I'm a communications manager. I never sleep, up 24/7 and on all the channels.
Excellent. Okay, very good. For our next question, so you've mentioned there are a lot of great volunteer opportunities, but we have a question if you have paid positions on offer at the moment.
Generally, we start out with volunteering, see if we match what your interests are, and then we have lots of cases where people have moved to either part-time or project-based paid jobs as well. So you would have to send in your CV or what you're interested in, and then we can see where you fit in.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Let's see if we have others. If there are any other questions, please post them in the chat as soon as they come to mind, and I'll read them out for you. We do have a question. Let's see. Do you have a group in South Africa?
Yes, we do, and it's a new group, so it would be especially lovely if you could go and help them out as well. So it's quite large already. So
Excellent. And we have another one about lawyers. Do you need lawyers or legal advice? Anybody who can help with that?
always, always, always.
Okay, excellent. Okay, we've got a bunch of questions coming in now. First, do you have a group in Chile?
Yes, we do. That's also a new group. So jump on board.
Excellent. Truly a global organization. Is it possible to apply all year round?
Yes, it is. Absolutely anytime. As I marked out, we have 3 major events, but there's always something happening in the background as well.
Okay, and then we have a question about how best to apply. Is it through the website? Is it through email? How should students contact you?
The best is to send us an email. This is the quickest way we can react to. So info@worldcleanupday.org. Just tell us a little bit about you, what you're most interested in, what you would like to know about us. Be curious, and you will be assigned to something that you like, obviously.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We have time for just about one more question. We have a lot of questions about all the different countries that you operate in. Is there a way that students can look and see if you operate in their kind of home country?
Yes, there is. So when you go to our website, www.worldcleanupday.org, click on the contacts, and then you will be able to access a team, a country, and then you'll find contacts. If there are no contacts under that country, then do get in touch with the HQ, because you might be our team leader in that country.
That's excellent to hear. Okay, well, I'm sure you will get lots of emails, but unfortunately we have to move on to our next panelist. So thank you so much, Ingrid. It was great to hear from you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so next we have the Estonian Refugee Council. The Estonian Refugee Council is an Estonian humanitarian NGO working to support refugees and other crisis-affected people in Estonia and abroad. ERC's work is concentrated around 3 pillars. First, they support refugees who live in Estonia by providing them necessary services and through their social enterprise, which employs refugees. Second, they provide humanitarian aid in crisis-affected countries, currently in Ukraine, Jordan, Lebanon, and Georgia. Third, they are a competence center on integration and forced migration, meaning that they train people who work with refugees, raise awareness about related topics, and advocate for the rights of refugees. And I believe that today our speaker is Eero Janssen, the director of the ERC. Eero, are you there? Okay. One moment, we're having a little bit of a technical glitch. We have to make sure that Eero can activate his camera.
So it seems that Eero is running into some technical difficulties. Okay, no. Wait.
Oh, yes, now it's on.
Okay.
So, hi, also from my side. I will share my screen as well. And voila. Okay, as the introduction already said, my name is Eero Janssen. I'm the director of the Estonian Refugee Council for the past 6-7 years. And very briefly, I will give an overview about the Estonian Refugee Council, or ERC in short, and also talk about the internship possibilities that we offer in different languages. But briefly, then, Estonian Refugee Council is already 20 years old. Our mission is to stand for refugee rights and welfare in Estonia and also abroad. We have 3 offices currently in Tallinn and Tartu. Both are in Estonia then. I am based in Tartu. Our Tallinn office is slightly bigger. And our 3rd office, which we opened last year, is in Jordan, in Ramta. We are essentially the main refugee support organization in Estonia, and also one of 2 humanitarian organizations in Estonia. And our work is concentrated in 3 pillars. This is, first of all, the integration support, humanitarian aid, and then, as already said, the competence center. I will give some substance to each 3 as well. So first of all, the integration support. Estonia is accepting refugees and giving them international protection if they need that. Estonia is not hosting a lot of refugees. The numbers are not very high in comparison, especially to Nordic countries. But the people that Estonia does host need integration support, and this is where we come in. So we provide a variety of services: individual counseling, peer-to-peer counseling, language buddies who help to learn Estonian language, life skills trainings, women's and men's groups. We organize children's camps, and also we provide mental health support to those who need it. And we also have a social enterprise which we established 2 years ago. It's called Siin and Sääl, or Siin ja Sääl, or in English we would translate it as Here and There, which provides different services like catering, food delivery in Tallinn, with cooks from all over the world, from Syria to Venezuela, being present, also language courses, different cultural events, etc., etc. A lot of activities there. Secondly, as I already said, we are a humanitarian aid organization. We concentrate our work on the livelihood sector. So it means that we help people to regain independence, financial and economic independence, people who have been affected by conflict. We are currently operational in Ukraine for the past 6-7 years. Also Georgia, concentrating on internally displaced people, in Jordan and Lebanon. In both of these, we are targeting Syrian refugees, and we were also present in Turkey. And we have some plans on entering new countries as well. And third, one of the main pillars is the competence center, which is an umbrella term for a number of different activities. So we provide trainings to specialists who work with refugees, for example, in education sector, in social services. We also do educational projects towards schools and kindergartens. We also do a lot of public awareness raising in order to improve the attitudes that people may have towards refugees, but also in general towards people with migration background. And we also do advocacy quite a lot, meaning that we protect the rights of refugees and people who have been displaced. All of that being said, over the years we have also had a number of interns, a number of quite a long list of volunteers as well, who have been part of us as support persons or working within the core team of ERC. And we can start to sketch out the main profiles that we would be able to take in and provide positions for. So there are currently 4 positions that we could fill with people who are interested in interning or volunteering with us. So first of all, communications assistant who could be present either in Tallinn or Tartu. If you have skills towards photo or video or animation or map making even, then this is certainly something we are very interested in. Also, social media management is something you could help with. Secondly, fundraiser, also either in Tallinn or Tartu. This role means carrying out fundraising campaigns or coming up with ideas for fundraising campaigns, also looking for sponsorship opportunities, both in private sector and also towards private individuals. Then in Tallinn, we also are quite in need of a kind of office assistant or somebody who helps around in documentation, in report writing, also in general taking care of the office. And finally, also a event assistant for our social enterprise. This is a person who could help in organizing different courses that we provide, different public events, since these are now again allowed to organize, and also assisting with marketing activities in general. And what is the main things that all of these have in common? Of course, each of these positions has some position-specific skills that people would need. But one of the key things, of course, is kind of the intercultural competence. We are very multicultural organization, and also, of course, you would need to have the right motivation and also the interest in working with this kind of setting that we are and topics that we are working with. In general, what we offer in return is office either in Tallinn or Tartu, but a lot of our work also can be done from home offices. Especially during the past year, we have been quite a lot concentrating on home office improvement as well. So you don't have to live in Tallinn or Tartu actually to join the team. We have people working for us from a number of different countries, from Turkey and Jordan, for example. And we also, if the results are good and we find common understanding, then it is possible to also provide small remuneration for the work. Usually interns to start off with as volunteers or interns, but this can grow into something more eventually. And how to apply? Essentially, we take in applications all year round. We don't advertise these positions in very specific times. It's enough if you send your CV and motivation letter to our general email, which is brought up here. And you can also send an email or call the phone number here for any kind of questions that you may have towards these internship positions. So thank you, and that's in a nutshell the ERC, and you can shoot away your questions.
Thanks so much, Eero. Actually, you've answered a number of the questions we've had already, so very efficient presentation there. One question that came up is if you currently have, or if you foresee in the future, any job offers. We know you have great internships, but what about job positions? I don't really foresee right now in the next
2 months, new positions opening or any new vacancies as full-time or part-time positions right now. But I mean, we partially we work project-based, so it depends on the specific projects. Partially not. We are actually, sorry, we have one vacancy open right now, actually, but this is a person who would need to have some cooking skills and kind of skills related to running a kitchen. So if you are like that, then we have a full-time position open in Tallinn right now. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Our next question for you is about language requirements. Do your positions require specific language skills?
I mean, our kind of common language is usually English, because we have people from different parts of the world, or mainly, of course, Estonian as well. So if you know either of these two, then that's good. Since we operate in Ukraine, Georgia, Jordan, Lebanon, if you have any skills of Russian, Ukrainian, Georgian, or Arabic, then this is highly positive as well.
Excellent. Thanks very much. As far as applying for these internships, are these open year-round? When should students apply?
Essentially, the offers are the year around, so you don't have to be within certain time frame to apply. I mean, different people do want different things. So some people may stay for 3 months, others need a longer term position. So I think this is all about finding a common understanding of what you have to offer, what we need, and I mean, then it's about negotiations as you do.
Excellent. Thanks so much. One question that has come up quite a lot is if you're looking for people from any particular study background, or are you open to people from any, say, field?
If you have skills related to any of these positions that I already mentioned, then this is, you don't have to have any specific background. So we are mostly looking at skills rather than formal education at this situation. So communication related skills, yeah, I mean, very much communication related. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks so much. I want to ask you about a specific skill now because we have a question about it. Are you looking for somebody, or do you offer something for people who are skilled in video production?
We have a number of video things going on right now. So if you have skills related to video montage, production, then you are welcome to contact us.
Perfect. Thanks so much. And it looks like we probably have time for one more question. So if any attendees have a question, please send it into the chat and I'll read it out. Okay, so we have a question here about if you're working together with other organizations or if you're dealing with migration at the EU level. So maybe about your international partnerships.
Yeah, so we do work a lot with other organizations. I'm personally a board member at the European Council on Refugees and Exiles, or ECRE. So we are a member of that. We are working very closely with them as well, especially in advocacy and European level advocacy. We are partnering also with UNHCR for many years already. Yeah, so I mean, we are quite well networked in the EU and globally.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Eero. Unfortunately, we're out of time for this session, so we'll have to move on. But thanks once again. It was really nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Starship Technologies. Now, Starship Technologies is an Estonian startup company developing small, self-driving robotic delivery vehicles. With their technology, they're aiming to revolutionize food and package delivery by offering convenient new services to millions of people. Starship Technologies today operates in several cities across the world, completing thousands of autonomous deliveries every day. And our speakers today will be Ats Tomsalu and Naz Ustunkaya, who are Operations Junior Team Leads. Speakers, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Let me share my screen first. I think everybody can see now, so everything is fine. Hello, everyone. I'm Nazos Genishtunkaya, and today I'm with Ais Tomsalu. We are going to represent Starship Technologies, and we will give some information about what we are doing, who we are, and some work opportunities as well as internship. Ais and I are two of the junior team leads currently now in the Starship, but we started as robot operator. So let's start.
So hello from my side too. We here in Starship, we have a large company. In total, we have more than 450 people together, but we're growing every month, every week, basically. We have a lot of different nationalities here, more than 35. And we're operating in 6 countries at the moment where our robots drive. These are UK, US, Denmark, Finland, Estonia.
And Germany.
And Germany. And so far, we've done already 1.5 million deliveries. And we've driven over 1 million miles as well. That's also 1.5 million kilometers. And that's really a lot comparing to other autonomous vehicles so far. So as said, we are making last mile deliveries, and we're making it conveniently, sustainably, and a little bit magically.
If you are curious about how magical, it's this magical.
Yes, this is actually a couple in UK, in Milton Keynes, who in last Christmas Eve decided that they want to get married. So basically, they had lived together for a while, and they had children already. And the groom proposed the bride using our robot. Of course, the marriage proposal was accepted, and they are happily living together right now. So this is a picture from one of my meetings, and this is us too. I'm from left there. I'm Ats, as said. I started working here in 2019 as a robot operator as well. And a couple of months forward, I was trained to be a field assistant. Field assistant is basically a person here in Tallinn who goes on the street, on the spot where the robots drive if robot needs help with anything. So I trained myself as this as well. And later on, like Nas said, now we're junior team leads. That means both of us, under us, we have like 25 to 30 operators who we help with everything they will need help with, like scheduling, training, everything. We're just there for them.
Yep, and thank you, Ais. And on the right side, it's me. So Ais is actually local working in Starship, but I'm originally from Turkey. So I want to talk about my experience in Starship as an international student, because I have started like working in Starship in 2019. As a robot operator, but I was an MA student in Estonia. So when I first started as a part-time worker, it was kind of nice for me because scheduling was super flexible. I was either working during daytimes or nighttime. So based on my school scheduling or based on my social life, I was able to choose whenever I want to study, and it gave me flexibility on that sense. So I really had a nice balance between work, school life, and my social life. But also there's another aspect that when you're an international student in Estonia, it is told that it's kind of hard to meet locals and become friends with locals as well. So in Starship, I had many like local friends, and I got an opportunity to improve my Estonian language skill as well. That was also a nice opportunity for me. But of course, like Aits and I started as a robot operator, but now we evolved in junior team lead. So we changed the position. There is many opportunities based on, there might be many opportunities based on these too. And my picture on the right is from one of the events, actually on Halloween in 2020. We just dressed up and we showed up like this while we were operating and working. We were having a lovely event, but of course, our events are not only related to this, because as many of you are knowing that company events are a great way to highlight and highlight the company's core values. And also employees for sure wants to work in a company where they can feel engaged. So we have a lot of events. These are such as Leaders Week, weekly company meeting, hackathon, summer events, Christmas events, team building event, and engineering act of the week. If you guys are interested in applying Starship, you're more than welcome among to us. And for the robot operator, I need to note that the accepting applications is going to be starting this autumn. But basically, you can apply on the webpage starship.xyz careers, and then the step will be introduction call with HR, practical case study, and interview with a team lead. So if everything goes perfectly, then you're welcome to work with us. Maybe Aits can talk about a little bit what is practical case study.
Yeah, practical case study looks like that you will basically come here in the office here in Tallinn. We will have a robot ready for you. We will have a computer ready for you, and you can basically operate or drive a robot yourself. There's an experienced operator next to you who will ask how you feel, how you sense this. You can express your feelings, how you like it, what you don't like, what you like, and you can just basically have fun there, and you can just try with the robot. I think that's pretty cool. So internships for summer. We have 4 different internships right now. These are computer vision and machine learning, site reliability engineering, software engineering, and internships in HR. As our intern, you are a part of our team, and you enjoy the same benefits as I do and Nas do, and we all do here. And we all commit to guiding you as much as possible, so you will get a good grasp of the field here. The basic pay is also there, but if your main motivation is professional growth and development, the match could be even better for you. Your internship could be 2 to 6 months long, and we secretly actually hope that it grows into something more afterwards. We practice hybrid operating. That means spending a day or few here in the office in Tallinn and combining it with remote work. The requirements for these internships are different, so please check the same page there for more information. So starship.xyz/careers.
And now it's the time for question and answers. If you have questions, please let us know.
Yes.
Thanks so much. We actually already have our first question. How often does Starship Technologies hire robot operators?
Actually, we're hiring, I think people can apply right now, but probably our first communication with the hiring department will be in a month or so, and the actual starting days are not clear yet, but I think you can apply if you want to right now. Yeah.
Excellent. That's great news. Let's see. One person's asking if there are any open vacancies for robot operators located in Estonia. Are you looking in Estonia at the moment?
Yep, we are looking for robot operators in Estonia.
Perfect. And is it possible to do part-time internships?
Part-time internships. Maybe if, yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I thought if you don't have a clear answer, maybe Anette can answer as well.
Yep.
Yeah, hi, I'm Anette from Starship HR, and we can discuss both full and part-time positions for the internships. It all comes down to the agreements. So if you're interested, just apply and we can talk more.
Excellent. I love that flexibility. We've got a question specifically about design. Are you looking for positions in design at the moment, or interns in design at the moment?
I think there are only 4 different opportunities right now. So I am not sure. Computer vision, maybe that's related to design a bit.
Yeah, so not very specific design internships currently, maybe in the future. But I will mention that the complete list is still not up to date. We're still looking over what kind of internships we can offer during the summer. So keep yourself up to date and go to our career page.
Great, thanks so much. How about language requirements? Are there any particular language requirements to work at Starship?
We are also international company, and we are using English in the company. So if you are fluent in English, like that's all you need. But also, of course, like we are operating in Estonia, so Estonian language skills is always welcomed in that sense. Yeah, but basically English is more than enough.
Great. And we have a question here specifically about the machine learning internship. Are you looking for people from a particular degree background for that internship, or is it flexible?
It's flexible, and I think it also depends on what kind of interest you have outside of your degree and studies. So again, if you're interested, apply. And I can see that there's also a question about possibility to start remotely for a certain time. And then again, yes, we can discuss that. So you can maybe start part-time remotely and then come to the office time to time. Yeah, we're flexible regarding that.
Great. Do you have any plans to open an office in Tartu in the future, since there are a lot of international students based in Tartu?
Okay, I will take this one as well. Not currently yet, at least not in the, let's say, 6 months, but we are aware that there are a lot of international students in Tartu, and this is something that we have thought about, but not in the next, let's say, 6 months, not yet.
Excellent, thanks so much. Do you need any specific skills for the robot operator position?
Basically, everyone is welcome to apply for it. But if you are like good communicator and also like diligence with the work and everything, then we can figure this out later for the robot operator job.
Great. So it sounds like a little bit of on-the-job training is available. That's very nice. Okay, and let's see. I think we have time for a couple more questions. So if anybody has another question, please put it in the chat. We have a question here about visas and whether or not the company can assist international students with acquiring a work visa to stay in Estonia. This is probably again for Anetta.
Yep.
Yeah, so I loved all those questions. Great question. So since our internships can be from 2 months to 6 months, it all really depends on how long are you going to stay with us. So yeah, it depends.
Excellent, thanks so much. And we are, there's a couple of clarificatory questions about these positions. Are the internship positions paid or not is our first question. And second, is there any possibility of employing an intern after the internship?
Yes, the internships are paid, and we are excited if there is a really good match to actually employ the person after internship as well.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Okay. We have some questions about the robot operator internship, whether or not it's listed on the website. If people are having trouble finding it on the website, is there an email address they should use? Can they find that on the website as well?
I think we don't have a robot operator internship, but people can apply to work here as a robot operator because the work itself is quite flexible and they can make their own schedules basically. So there's not an internship for that, but they can apply to work it. And like, it's basically like internship still, but it's just like work.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much.
And I'm just going to add that if you have any trouble with applications or have any questions, you can also write to us careers at starship.co or XYZ. So you can also send your questions to there.
Excellent. Well, thank you all so much. I think we're just about out of time for this session. So thanks once again. It was a great presentation, and I hope you get a lot of applicants soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So next we have Wise. Now Wise is a startup unicorn, formerly known as TransferWise, and it's an Estonian founded fintech company. Wise was launched in 2011 with the vision of making international money transfers cheap, fair, and simple. Today, their multi-currency account helps over 10 million people and businesses manage their money across the world. And today we have two speakers, Libby Cook, who is an early careers recruitment lead, and Paula Pasquale, who is an early careers recruiter. So Libby and Paula, the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you so much. I'm going to be sharing my presentation now. So there we go. So, well, hello, everybody. Welcome to WISE. We are the early careers recruitment team, and we take care of hiring all roles related with the graduates and internships in all the offices that we have around the world. And well, my name is Paula. I'm the early career recruiter, and I'm based here in Tallinn. And I have together my colleague Libby, she's based in London and is the lead of this team. So first of all, we want to show who we are and what we do. So So after the second attempt, that's WISE. We say that we are just right. We have the perfect size right now. So we are big enough to be making an impact in the financial system, but also small enough so each one of us can have their own impact. We are individuals and we matter as individuals. So right now we are over 2,400 people in the company. We are from more than 90 different nationalities now, and we are based in more than 14 offices around the world. So that's basically what we are, what we currently look like. And I'm gonna give it over to Libby. So she's gonna be talking about the programs that we have regarding internships and graduates.
Sorry, everyone, about that black box on the screen. I don't know what that is, so I hope it's not interfering too much. And hopefully it is just me who can see that. But thank you everyone for being here to listen and meet WISE today. So we, at the moment, our programs are full for the 2021 year, but coming up in autumn, this autumn, so from September, October time, we'll reopen our programs again to hire for interns. And we will be hiring interns in engineering. So we have positions in London, Tallinn and Budapest for internships in engineering. And the way we think about an intern at WISE, you are somebody who will, when you join us in the summer of 2022, you will be a 2023 graduate. So all of our interns join us for 10 weeks in the summer, and then they return back to university to finish their final year, hopefully, fingers crossed, with a graduate offer from us, because you've had a great success. So you would do the internship with us, go back to university, and then join us full time the following autumn. So as I said, we don't have any open roles there at the moment, but do keep an eye on our website. We'll share our LinkedIn at the end of this so that you can be fully aware and ready to apply for our internships when they open this autumn. If we just move on, we can talk about our graduate roles. So, and our graduate roles, you would join us full time, so they're full-time positions. And again, we'll open those this autumn for grads to join us in 2022. Now we have graduate roles this coming up for next year in engineering. We have AML investigator roles, finance analyst, and payment operations. And you can see there, you know, we are truly a global company. We have positions all over. And we're hiring in Tallinn for all of those business areas, as you can see. We welcome applications from students, from international students, and if you're studying in Estonia, it's really straightforward and easy for us to support you with kind of getting that working visa to join our Tallinn office. We've done that with a number of graduates for this year, but it makes it a lot easier if you are studying in Estonia. So moving on. We just ask that, as I said, with your internship, you are in your penultimate year, so you join us with a year left to go to university. And we're really, really open with which background you come from, which degree background you come from. So you know, studies just need to be relevant, or if you aren't studying a relevant degree, just make sure that something on your CV represents you know, engineering or AML or whatever it is that you're joining, so that you are able to indicate and illustrate that you have an interest in that. So as I said, the internships are 10 weeks and they start in June. And then with graduates, we say that you must be graduating from university the same year you apply, but actually we look at graduates from the year before as well. So for our roles that open in autumn of this year, we will be looking at graduates from 2021 and 2022. Again, studies must be relevant, and then also you must be able to start work in September 2022. Okay, so just a really quick look here at the application process so you know what to expect. We do a very simple application so that you're not having to spend hours. We understand that, you know, you're busy studying and you are probably making multiple applications. So we want to make that as easy as possible for you. So it's a quick online application. If you're going into engineering, you'll have to sit a technical test, which is our hacker rank. And then if you're not going in engineering, you may have an additional test to do as part of our hire view, which is a video interview. Everyone coming in to join our intern and grad programs does a video interview, which is evaluated by Paula and I. And then you have a final stage interview, which we are able to provide you with a decision afterwards. I'll pass back over to Paula, who'll tell you a little bit more about how to keep in touch with us and find out about our roles.
Yeah, so for you to get in touch with us, first of all, we have our career site. So you can always go there, and under the section that says early careers, that's our section. We will be posting all the open roles that we have in the upcoming months. So you can go to wise.jobs that simple. And you can see all the open roles that we have. But for more direct contact with us, we are also in LinkedIn. So we wanted to share with you guys our profiles in case you want to connect, in case you also have more specific questions, and also for you to keep track of what is happening, what's going on. We will be also making posts, and we will let you know whenever we have positions open there. So we also have an email that we will be, it will be very nice if you're interested maybe in hearing the new jobs that we are opening. We will make an email list. So everybody that wants to know more, we will be sending these notifications to your email. So you can always you can just drop an email to this email address and we will get back to you as soon as we have anything open. And that's actually it from our side. So now we're open for questions if you guys have any.
Thanks so much. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat. We have our first question. Somebody would like to know if you have any opportunities for someone with a social science background, something like political science, sociology, and so on.
We look at people from all different degree backgrounds. So currently for this year, we haven't hired into our people team, but for next year, so opening in this autumn, we're hoping to have a people team graduate program and hire somebody within somebody in Tallinn and also somebody in London. So I think somebody with a kind of social sciences background would be perfectly suited to work in a people team. And I guess kind of the other roles that we've been hiring for to date are a little bit more technical, but something like the people team might be of interest. So definitely keep an eye on our website for that.
Excellent. That's a very exciting piece of news. That's great. So one question that's kind of always on the forefront of foreign students' minds is language. What's the operating language for your Tallinn office?
Actually, well, I'm in Tallinn right now. We have all different languages here because we also have the support teams and we just speak in English among everybody. So we are just expecting you to speak English and that's it. If you have any other languages that you want to show the rest, then that would be great, but only English is required.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Now, do you also support remote working or do employees have to come into the office?
So we have an amazing working policy. Paula and I actually both joined WISE remotely. So we've done completely remote onboarding. Everything is really, really well set up for remote working. But through COVID, we realized that people were sort of really thriving working from home, but they also enjoy coming into the office and feeling that kind of cultural aspect of being part of WISE and meeting up and collaborating. So we've now come up with a new official policy, which allows everybody who joins WISE to work longer term, even after all restrictions are lifted, 2 days in the office and 3 days at home. Now that's open obviously to everybody's personal preference. So I know that when things are kind of lifted here in London, I would like to spend more time in the office than 2 days, but ultimately that is all I'm expected to do, to turn up at the office for 2 days. And, you know, we're such an international team, we're totally connected continuously. Me and Paula work really, really closely together. She's in Estonia, I'm in London. And yeah, you really get a sense of that connection, even though we're not together.
Great, thanks so much. We've got another question here. If WISE has any positions in creative fields, are you looking for anybody in creative fields at the moment?
Unfortunately, we don't currently have any entry-level roles in design. It's something that, I mean, it's such an exciting place to work. It's changing all the time. Amazing things are happening continuously. And that's why Paula and I love our jobs so much, because we don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. So although we don't currently have anything in design, I would say absolutely, if that's something that interests you, do check out our open roles when we go live in the autumn, because it may well be that that's something that we look at doing. It's just currently we don't have those opportunities.
Excellent. Thanks so much. We've got time for some more questions. If anybody has another question, let's see. Here's one. What is the biggest mistake that applicants make? Is there something that undermines your application and you would advise people to avoid? So a bit of specific advice here.
So actually, we whenever somebody applies, we always send them like a candidate guide so that you can get ready for the interviews or like the process itself. So we're already giving you the tips how to navigate through the recruitment process, how to make the like best of the interview, and it's simply just like studying a little bit what WISE is, how we work, because we have like specific way of working in autonomous teams. So we are expecting you to also align with that culture. So it's just basically, we just want you to be yourself. We want to know your real self in the process. So there is nothing that you're gonna do wrong. It's just how well you well you do in the interviews, like matching our current working culture, let's say.
Great, thanks so much. That's really nice to hear. I wish more companies had that kind of advisory package. Let's see.
I would just say more
questions.
generally
Yes.
to that, having worked in graduate recruitment for over 10 years now, I think the biggest mistake you could ever make is just you know, putting something on your CV or saying something in an interview that wasn't entirely true and authentic to you, because ultimately that will always come out. And I mean that whether it's kind of being open and upfront about your current working visa or current working situation and the support you might need, or putting on an additional qualification that you haven't yet reached, or, you know, working a project that you potentially haven't been as involved with as you feel. You know, I think that don't be afraid to just sort of, you know, be your true authentic self, and don't feel that you have to do anything other than just, you know, what you've already achieved and what you are. So, you know, just in kind of reference to what Paula said, I would say that kind of, yeah, transparency is key.
Excellent. Thanks so much. I think that's great advice. About the internships you offer, are these compensated in any way?
Yes. So for the internships, they have like the salary, like monthly salary, and they have also the benefits like any other employer of the company. So whatever like the office offers, it will be also for the interns.
Excellent. Wow. Okay. And it looks like we probably have time for one more question. So if you have a question, please post it in the chat or in the Q&A box, and I'll read it out for you.
Hopefully that shows we've given all the details that's needed. But what if you don't have any prior work experience? We wouldn't expect you to have any prior work experience, especially to join us as an intern. And the way that we would assess you, we're looking at your kind of technical skill set that you've maybe picked up at university or developed alongside your course, and also your kind of soft skills that we are, you know, evaluating. So once all of that, we feel that you have the kind of aptitude and the potential, we're looking at your potential rather than work experience, especially at such a kind of junior or entry level role. But yeah, do all connect with Paula and I on LinkedIn, because that's where we'll kind of initially post all our jobs, and you'll know that things have gone live, as well as signing up to the email address that we can let you know through that.
Okay, two more questions here. One, could you show your email address again, just so that students have that and they can contact you? Perfect, thank you very much. And secondly, someone's inquiring about the flexibility of the internship start times. Is there any flexibility with when the internship begins?
Do you want to take over that one, Libby, or?
Yeah, I can take that. So unfortunately, not really. We try to be as supportive to individuals, and we understand everyone has personal circumstances, but the reason that the timing is set is because we want to have 10 weeks of time before our grads start. So the way that it works is that our interns are with us for 10 weeks, and then they leave on Friday, and then on the Monday, the 6th of September, our incoming grads join, and we feel that that's the best possible way to give both cohorts of candidates as much support as possible. And also, we run a really extensive program. It's got loads going on. We have lunch and learn sessions. We have time with our CTO. We have like social events. There's all sorts of stuff that goes into a huge program, and we can't kind of adapt and change that to have, you know, each individual intern having an experience. So we want you all to kind of go through that as a shared cohort, which is why we unfortunately can't be flexible, as flexible as we would maybe like to be.
Excellent. Well, thank you both so much. It sounds like a really excellent program, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of applications from our students here. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for you today. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Now, for everyone else, thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure. So now we're going to go on a quick break, about 10 minutes, and we'll see you back shortly with many more interesting presentations to come. So thanks again.
Thank you, Jay, for this excellent time management and moderation, and thanks also from my side to all the speakers. So we have a 10-minute break now. I will start the break with playing you a video of another company, and you hear also a testimonial of one of their workers from there. But this is just for having something in the background. And then we will continue at 2:30. So see you in 10 minutes in our next session, where we have Fortumu, Swedbank, and Nordea Bank Estonia. But as promised, I will now play the video.
ABB on teed rajav tehnoloogialiider, kes suunab tööstuse digitaliseerimist ja läbi oma toodete ja tarkade lahenduste aitab tagada jätkusuutliku energiakasutuse. ABB on esindatud enam kui 100 erinevas välisriigis ja meil on kokku ligi 150 000 töötajat. Eesti ABB üksuses töötab ligi 1700 töötajat. Meil on Eestis maailmatasemel insenerkeskusi ja meil on väga mitmekesine töötajaskond ja töötajaid on vähemalt 20 erinevast rahvusest. Aga inseneride seas on esindatud näiteks Kuuba, Austraalia, Omaan, India, paljud Euroopa riigid. Suur osa nendest on lõpetanud näiteks magistriõpingud Eesti ülikoolides ja on asunud siis ABB-sse tööle kas siis oma õpingute ajal või peale õpinguid. Lisaks on osa välismaalastest leidnud oma tee Eestisse läbi ABB globaalse mobiilsusprogrammi. Need töötajad, kes meil klassikalise välisvärbamise kaudu jõuavad Eestisse, nende puhul meil on siiani olnud selline iga kord siis kandidaadi vajadustest lähtuv nii-öelda lähenemine. Välisvärbamise puhul on ABB Eesti üksuste jaoks kõige suuremaks väljakutseks kindlasti välismaalaste seadusest tulenev kvoodipiirang. Välisvärbamise puhul me ise väga palju täiendavaid värbamiskanaleid justkui kasutama ei pea, kuna ABB on tööandjana üle kogu maailma väga tuntud ja me tegelikkuses saame isegi väliskandidaate eestikeelsete töökuulutuste peale kandideerima. Kui sul on sarnase haridussüsteemiga, sarnases vanuses inseneride meeskond, siis nende lahendused erinevatele probleemidele on tõenäoliselt pigem sarnased, aga kui selle meeskonnaga liita näiteks üks insener Venemaa tippülikoolidest, üks insener Indiast, üks insener USA-st, siis see meeskond on väga palju mitmekesisem ja aitab luua innovaatilisi ja uudseid lähenemisi. See tegelikult meelitab ligi ka meie kohalikke talente, kuna ABB-s on võimalik töötada väga rahvusvahelises meeskonnas, võib-olla ka isegi globaalses rollis, töötades siinsamas Eesti puhta looduse keskel Jüris ja olla osa sellest rahvusvahelisest meeskonnast.
My experience in Estonia has been positively surprising. It's been a good 4 years that I've been here. I like that the people are very smart and oriented with what they're doing, and it's really nice. It's a pleasure to work with people here. In addition to that, I think that Estonian society as a whole is very nicely built, and of course there are times when you consider that the personal space is really good. But on the other side, when you think about it, it sometimes feels like people don't really care what you're doing. It's got its pros and cons. I like the fact that people are very straightforward and there's no loss of thinking on what people are thinking. It's like when someone says it or expresses something, they really mean it. I find that really nice and efficient to deal with work or with friends as well.
Okay, so at least my clock is telling me that it's time to continue with our session. So you already met me. My name is Mart Veliste. I'm from the Institute of Baltic Studies. And also on screen with me is my colleague Ainiki.
Hello.
And so we will be co-moderating the session coming up next in the next hour. But first, a few words of introduction. So our session of this event is also part of a larger project. So we call it the Jumpstart Your Career in Estonia. Part of this project, we organize trainings for non-EU students, and then we organize these joint events for employers and students. So this session is the third event that we have organized, and we'll have a few more coming up in the autumn season and next spring. So this project lasts until 2020. And the objective is just, as we're doing today, to introduce you various labor market opportunities in Estonia, so to help international students to find a job more easily in the country. And our project, so this session is brought to you jointly by the European Union AMIF Fund and the Ministry of the Interior. And so today, this session is about the financial sector. So we have 3 different companies coming up after I finish speaking. They're Fortum, Swedbank, and Nordea Estonia. You can already see the speakers on the screen as well. You might be wondering why we're focusing on the financial sector. This is basically just our internal thinking that we have tried to organize our events so far, focusing on specific sectors in order to sort of provide most insightful information to students studying the field and bringing companies who work in the field and to sort of to match them together. Luckily today we've been able to partner up with our colleagues from Eesti Üliõpilaskondade Liit to organize this event jointly, and we have been able to bring you already very interesting speakers, both from the let's say the more voluntary work sector and more sort of I guess social enterprises, and then of course we already have these 2 technology companies as well. So now we're moving on to the financial sector, and this is actually where I would invite our first speaker to join on screen as well. So Signe, if you're with us, could you please turn on your camera? And Elis, I understand, is with you in the same room.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you. And as we discussed earlier, then I will be sharing your slides. So just let me know when you want me to click forward.
Yeah, thank you. So glad to be here. My name is Signe. I'm head of HR at Fortum, and with me is Elis, who is our lovely recruiter. And why we decided to be together on that call is quite simple, because if you apply to Fortum, then time to time you can meet with me or with Elis. So let's talk about Fortum, and you can change the slide. So Fortum is founded in 2007. At the moment, we have 96 employees from 15 different nationalities, and we actually have growth of our team almost 25% during the last year, and we are growing rapidly again this year and next year and expect on sector. We have offices in Estonia, Tallinn and Tartu. Tartu is our headquarters, and Tallinn is also growing. And we have offices in India, Indonesia, Spain, Singapore, and Vietnam at the moment. And starting from last year, we are part of the POCO Inc. group, and Fortum is responsible for career building and product bundling product line And also we are focused, our main focus at the moment is building up technologies for new business lines as well during the next coming years or so. So I think that you can change the slide.
So I'm going to talk about what are we doing here in Fortimo. So we have built a platform that lets people pay for digital content and services by using their mobile operator bill. So our customers include the world's largest digital service providers, such as Google, Amazon, Spotify, and so on. So there is actually 4 billion people in the world who have a cell phone and they're ready to use their services, but they don't have a credit card to pay for it. So we give the opportunity for the merchants to reach all of those people. So on the next slide, you can change it. I will show you some numbers to illustrate why we actually do what we do. So nowadays, most people accessing digital content do it through their smartphone, but almost 80% of them don't actually have a credit card. So some of our markets where we operate have only like 2, 5, or 10% of the credit card ownership, while in the same area, the smartphone usage is 60 to 70%. So that difference is like almost 20 to 30 times. And daily we process up to 30 payments per second. So it means up to 2.5 million per day in over 80 countries, and can easily increase capacities thanks to modern scalable cloud technologies. Yeah, but now you can put the next slide.
And there is, as already it is mentioned, some big customers to whom we are working together. So Spotify, EasyPack, Tencent, Tinder, Badoo, and etc. And we have 400 plus partnerships with telcos and mobile wallets at the moment, and we are operating at 80 plus countries at the moment. So next slide, and let's talk about the interesting part. So let's talk about our recruitment and who we are recruiting and etc. As I said before, we have 96 employees at the moment as of today, and we are planning to grow our team even more this year. But you may ask who we are looking for. So we are looking for young talent people to join our team, and we have some interested if you are interested from some positions, feel free to let us know and visit our career page. But in general, we are hiring different kind of positions, but half of our team is basically engineering, and we are looking Java developers in all flavors mainly. But there is also some other roles from business side and semi-business roles as well. So we have account manager, product owners, connectivity operations in all flavors again, customer support, finance, and other supportive roles, and much more. So time to time, I'll visit our career page to check it out, who we are looking for at the moment. And let's talk about our recruitment flow as well. In a really simple way, there is 4 steps: screening, first interview, home assignment or practical tasks, so we can understand what this role about, what you have to do in daily basis, and the second longer interview with your future team members. And the length of the recruitment process is approximately 3 or 4 weeks. And I think, yeah, we have actually last slide. So if you have anything to ask from us, then let us know. I think there is one question already. Maybe you can see. So we are ready.
So the question asks if there will be any legal related roles in the future, and moreover, if there are, then would those roles be in particular in Estonia?
Legal roles.
Right, in the legal sphere.
Yeah, we have. At the moment, we are looking for a head of legal. And I can say that after a few months, we are starting looking for legal counsel as well.
That's great. Exciting opportunity. And thank you very much for your presentation. Mark, do we have any additional questions?
Yep, of course. I see. So there's one question that comes to mind, because you shared this link about careers. Is that the central point where everybody should apply to work for you, or are there some other email addresses or something that they would follow to apply for working with Fortum?
The main channel is a career page. There is open application form. You can fill it in and let us know that you are interested to join with us if you don't see any suitable role for yourself.
Okay. There's a question that's more technical, so I'll just quickly answer the person that indeed this event is recorded. It's also on Facebook Live, and you will have a chance to rewatch everything afterwards as well. Nikki, something else from your side?
Yes, so actually I was wondering something that might be relevant for all students that might be interested in applying to Fortum. Do you have any insider tips in addition to what can be found from the career page about what is expected from the applicants? What should they keep in mind specifically considering Fortum's company profile? So do you have any tips for anyone who might be interested in applying?
Tips? First of all, be yourself. Let us know what you are doing besides studying. Maybe you are some kind of project, or you have
or you have done some like side projects, or in a student like some entrepreneurial like what you have done before. So we are like looking for the personalities and not just the skill, like the hard skills that you have for this job, but yeah, whatever is relevant or could be like useful to just show that you're like standing out. And yeah, like Signe said, just be yourself, be honest to yourself, to us, and transparent, like we all are here.
And also, if you have any kind of publications, articles that you have wrote, then add them to your CV and share with us, so we can understand who you are better.
But depending on the role, like we haven't asked now, but for example, I don't know, customer support or any like marketing or sales, you can also just add a video CV, maybe like just a short video clip of yourself, addition to the resume. This is something I have done before sometimes, and I think this is something to stand out from the crowd as well. So depending on the role, like maybe IT, it's not so necessary, but somewhere where's communication needed. Could be cool.
Thanks. I'm sure that these are very useful tips for everyone who is applying. I think we have one additional question. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think it seems to be the case with Estonian recruiters, often always saying that be yourself and be honest on your CV and in the interview. We heard this also in the previous session with Wise. There is a question coming in about internships, because you talked about job opportunities mostly. Are you also looking for summer interns this year or maybe the next year?
I can say that in this year, the pool is already covered and we have 3 joiners at the moment, and we don't have any vacancies to offer because we have lots of people who is in the onboarding process at the moment. That is a main reason why we don't take any more at the moment, but it can be changed next year.
That's clear enough. Thank you. Then there is a question also coming in from the chat, is that whether people can contact you on LinkedIn as well, and they reach you through LinkedIn.
Yes, of course. You can point Signe and me both from there.
Okay, thank you. Nikki, back to you.
Right. So I'm sure that everybody found this presentation as exciting as we did. Perhaps one of the last questions that we could also ask is, do you have any earlier experiences, for example, with those foreign university students, especially from Estonia, and what have they liked about your company, especially? Just some maybe fun experiences or memories with them, or something that could encourage also future foreign university students in Estonia.
Mm-hmm. 1 second, we have one technical difficulty. One issue is, maybe I can add on that.
We can still hear you and see you, so.
Yeah, sadly, but we cannot see you. Okay, sorry, maybe, yeah, did you get the question, or maybe you can repeat the question? Let's ask it.
Oh yeah, the question is just that have you had any previous foreign university students from Estonia working in Fortumo?
Yes, we have a bunch of them in different universities, Tartu, Baltic, and etc. And some of them are working in part-time and full job and etc. So
from I think a good, like we just take also like juniors, for example, so they can put their like university knowledge into practice right away. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like internship. We would rather like give more responsibility right away and dive right into, but just as a junior, perhaps like either part-time or full-time.
I'm sure this will encourage many to apply for this exciting firm and all of those opportunities. Thank you very much, Martin.
Yeah, I would like to come back to this, the questions we've had throughout today as well, people asking about their own study backgrounds and whether there are opportunities to work with these backgrounds. You did earlier mention that half of the opportunities are in engineering, but then you are also open to some other fields. So we had questions in the earlier of the day of people from the creative sector or a creative background. We have people who have a wellness degree, people with social sciences. Do you see that any of these people could also fit your profile somehow and apply to Fortumo?
Yes, for example, custom support. There is one requirement, English, because and other support roles, office managers, connectivity operations, and etc.
And you mentioned English as a requirement, but what about Estonian language? Do people need to speak it to work with you?
Because our main language in daily basis is English.
Okay.
Maybe just as an office manager, but we were looking for one, but now we are about to find one. So, but yeah, I mean, for that position, you would have to speak Estonian, but all the rest is English. Because, yeah, daily we always communicate with each other in English. Do you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi, Nikki. I thought that your microphone.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Perfectly. So I think that we have a couple more questions from the question and answer section. And one of those asks that if there are any internships that can be additional to full-time jobs, or are these opportunities primarily full-time jobs? So what is the occupation type of those positions that Fortumo could mostly offer?
At the moment, at the moment there isn't any internship possibilities that we could offer. Yeah. But this could definitely in the future we would have some more. So this would be announced on our career page as well.
And also in social media as well, or Meet Frank and etc. So keep an eye what we are sharing, and if you are interested, then let us know. And as I mentioned before, we have also this open application channel what you can use to introduce yourself. But at the moment, yeah, we are not having any.
At the moment,
yes, at the moment,
definitely in the future.
Thank you for that answer. And maybe I'll take the last question because you described the process of also applying. You had screening, you had the first interview, a home task or a challenge assignment, and then the last one was the second interview with the team. And I feel that this is becoming increasingly common in many companies to have many rounds of interviews, and especially this team interview. Any advice on how to prepare or behave in a team interview nowadays?
Yeah, be yourself. Be yourself again. Okay, but let's add something more. But if you're coming, take a look again for your home assignment. Prep your questions, what you would like to know, because it's a good chance to ask questions from the team members who are actually working on that field. So questions, preparation on that sense, and be yourself, mainly be yourself.
And do a research about the company where you go as well. Like this might be asked already on the first, but if not, then on the second, just to show you know what they're doing, some cool facts, so just to show that you know them, and not just maybe 1 or 2 sentences from the like Wikipedia, but a bit more.
Okay, well, thank you for all the answers. Thank you for being here with us today. This is all the time we have for this session. Again, the recording will be shared and the slides will be in the recording, so you can see all the contact details of Fortuma as well. Thank you, Signe. Thank you, Elise, for being with us. Thank you, Ainiki, for the questions. I will now introduce our next speaker from Swedbank. So Maris and Hanna, could you also join us on the stage? Let's see if they are with us. Okay. Maris and Hanna, I think now it should work. You should be able to turn on your cameras and your audio. I see Maris.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, great. And you can see me as well, I understand.
Yes,
hello. I'm good too. Yes, it seems like we had some issues, so but now you can see me and hear me, it seems. So
yes.
I think we can start.
Yes, and you're sharing your own screen. Right?
Yes, I'm sharing. I will try to do it. 1 second, please. Let's see. How does it work? And you can tell me if you can see.
We're currently seeing your sort of browser view, and so I see myself.
Okay,
so maybe you
yes.
can try again and select the presentation if you have it open.
Yes, I opened it, and here I can see stop sharing, but I don't know why you can see my presentation. Okay, I will try.
You can stop for a second and try again if you select the PowerPoint option.
So let's try again.
Now it works.
Oh, great.
So go ahead, Maris and Anna, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. So I'm sorry for our technical issues. So I think it's usual nowadays if we are working from homes and yes, but I think we can start. So my name is Maris. I am a Swedbank recruiter, and with me is my dear colleague Hanna, who is also a career specialist. And yes, let's start because we do not have much of time. So about Swedbank, I'm not going to tell you every detail what's here in the slides, but you can watch it on your own. But maybe two the main dates I can mention are 1991, when Hansabank was founded, and 2006, when Swedbank Group was established. And if you have any questions regarding history, then you can ask later. So I will continue from this history part right now. We are the largest retail bank in our 4 home markets. In Baltics, we are in Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Sweden. And what else? We have over 16 million inhabitants, and over 7 million of them are our private customers, and 548,000 are corporate customers. And also you can see that we have many employees in our 4 home markets. And Swedbank in Estonia, then here we can also see these numbers. And yes, we have many customers and many employees. So we are quite big company. I think everybody knows it. I'm not going to tell you these numbers right now here. And yes, you can ask later if you have any questions. And career and working at Swedbank, this is maybe more interesting part for you. So the keyword for us is to value our employees, because all people expect care and opportunities to be involved. And here in Swedbank, we respect differences. We are thinking about diversity. And also we are very flexible in your work and everyday life. So if you want to go to doctor's appointment or you have children, so we are very flexible in that part. And I think it's a really good chance to use it if you have any everyday life things to do. But your work has to be done. So it is the main point. And yes, also we are supporting your career goals to achieve them. So it means that we really try to grow our internal employees. So it means that if we are hiring some people, then at first we are trying to hire our internal employees. So it's also very good thing what we are doing here in Swedbank, because our internal employees very value it. And you have the chance to grow also in Swedbank. And the financial world is changing, and it offers exciting professional challenges and opportunities to develop students and also our employees in the field of future competencies, as I said before. And our values are, we are open, simple and caring, and we look forward to having people who share these same values as well. And in addition of financial positions, we have many positions. We have 360 positions in Swedbank, starting data scientists, project managers, also lawyers, marketing, human resources, and communication experts, and so on. We have quite many opportunities here to work with us. But now, Hanna, floor is yours. You can talk about our future skills.
Yes, thank you. And actually, the skills what we are looking at the moment too. But yeah, as we are living in this kind of rapidly changing world, and we don't know what the tomorrow comes or brings us, then actually one of the keyword is adaptability. We need to adapt as the economics changes or the world in general. And this COVID situation has shown us also that actually we don't need to be at the office, and we can remotely work from our home offices too. So that's, I think it's a good change for being flexible in working times and where you can work. But yeah, the data and the data analysis is also one of the keywords what I would bring out, because we have a lot of data and we need to think what we can do with the data, how we can use it to improve our services, what we provide to our customers, and so on. And of course, the personality is important for us. the person who are we looking for should be creative, flexible, loves to communicate, to do cooperation with the other units, and yeah, that's that kind of persons we are looking for. You can change next slide. Yeah, and one way how you can be part of the Swedbank is to participate in our every year's traineeship program. It gives, I think, a good opportunity for person. Is the banking sector suitable for them, or is it not? So yeah, actually every year we have almost 100 positions where we are looking for students, or actually you don't have to be a student. Your background actually doesn't matter. Maybe you are wanting to change your career path. You are not satisfied what you are doing at the moment, so why not to try something else? And what the interns can do with us, actually we give them the real tasks. They can attend in the real projects. Their voice matters. We are actually really looking their ideas, how they look, the things we do, and to learn from them also. And because the interns are doing real job, the internship is paid also. And we are yeah, sorry, one
it's okay.
yeah, and actually we have this transporting internship program where we are introducing different units and departments in our bank, so the intern can have a general overview from the banking sector too, not just the department where she or he is working. You can change the slide. Yes, and how you can apply and what's our typical process. Of course, if you send your CV to us, then it depends on the complexity of the position and the amount of candidates what we have. Are we whether having an interview with the person right away, or we need to send out some home task or test? And then actually, as a normal part of our routine is the security check. Since we are dealing with sensitive data and money, we need to be assured that the person joins us with the right motives. And of course, reference calls. But if you're a student and you don't have a referee, that's okay also. And then the good part, job offer. And yeah, that's how our process looks like. And all our available positions are announced on our career web page and in LinkedIn Global also. And we are using also CV Online, CV Keskus, where you can check our positions. Yes, and actually that's all from us. Maybe you have some questions, what you would like to know.
Thank you both for this very clear overview of what Swedbank is and what you're offering. We do have questions from the audience. Ainike, I'll give the word first for you to pick the first question.
Thank you so much, first of all, for this exciting presentation. We have quite a lot of questions, actually, but one common theme that has prevailed throughout many questions is regarding the requirement of Estonian proficiency as both as a part of the internship program as well as later in the career. So yeah, we have several questions asking, is Estonian proficiency a must, or are there positions that do or do not require any other Baltic languages?
Actually, I don't know, you can also say something, Maris, but
Yeah.
I would say that it depends on a department. Actually, where I am recruiting, the English is needed. So, well, it's good if you know Estonian or Latvian or Lithuanian or Swedish, but actually the working language is English, and we have like recruited from different countries. So it depends on a unit whether they are like concentrating in the home market or you are working under group. That means, yeah, the working language is English.
Yes, I agree with Hanna that mostly English. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for this answer. And probably it will be also specified under the particular internship position or the
Yes.
career position.
Yeah.
So there won't be a confusion about that. Mart, do we have any other questions that are important to me to get asked right away?
Yes, I think so. There's also a theme of, or at least two people have also asked clarifying questions about the internship. So basically, whether there's still an open call for interns currently, or if not, then when is the next chance to apply for an internship with you?
Right now, unfortunately, this Quick Start program is closed, and I think when we start, maybe next year, March or April, I think is the main months when we start with this Kickstart program, and then you can find these positions where we are looking our interns.
Yeah.
Thank you. But for jobs, I guess you have open calls for various positions.
Yes, exactly. And what I would bring out is that we have this Estonian career site, and there you can also, if you go like scroll a little bit down, there is this group career site. So I would ask students or anyone who is interested to check this part over too, because there are the ads where we are looking to different group teams where the people's location doesn't matter where they are working from. So yeah, there are like international teams under this group website, and you can be working from Estonia also there.
Thank you. Ainike, I think we have time for one or two more questions. Do we still have something?
Right. So if I can combine several questions into one, we have quite a few questions regarding very specific positions and areas of interest at Swedbank. So for example, we have a person asking about any legal positions. We have a person asking about data and business analyst or other economics and finance related positions. And then I think we also have lastly, I think there was something about data. Yes, so data science
as well as wellness.
And wellness as well, right? So does any of that perhaps ring a very specific bell about any upcoming open vacancies?
We are always hiring. We are always looking new people. So especially IT and lawyers. I know that we are just maybe this or next week we are also start looking lawyers, and so we are really always hiring. So just check our homepage and career site, and there you can really find I think any like positions what you are looking for. So, and if you are not like looking finding today your position, then you can check it tomorrow or next week, but we are like posting our job offers mainly every day.
Yeah, and from the and from the group site also, because adding also.
Thank you. And I will take one last question, and maybe you have a brief answer to this. But so there is one speaker who is struggling, I guess, to sometimes apply for jobs because they don't have any Estonian references. They haven't worked in Estonia before. So in case of Swedbank, is it necessary for international applicants to have references from Estonian managers or other Estonian colleagues?
No.
No.
Just
No,
from-
not at all.
Yeah, just from the previous workplace or yeah, some project that they have been in.
Okay, well, that's a very clear answer to the end of the session. Thank you for doing the presentation. Thank you for answering in this quick fire round of questions. So we will have to continue now with our next session. But thank you both, Maris and Hanna, for being with us today.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Bye. And now I would like to invite our last speaker in this session from Nordea Bank, Liis Lehto. Let's see if Liis is already here with us.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can see you. Yep.
Okay, that's great to hear. So I will just share the presentation. Okay, so can you yeah?
Yep, but I think you're using two displays. So can you go to the top of the corner where you can change display settings, where you flip the screens, because we're seeing the presenter view. If you go to the right, the display settings, that you right where your cursor was before in the.
I will maybe try to. Let's see if this maybe helps a bit. 1 second.
Yep.
Okay,
yep,
is it
perfect.
better now?
Yes, excellent.
Okay, thank you for having me here. Really nice to hear also other speakers. My name is Liis. I'm a recruiter in Nordea, Estonia, and here to talk about who we are, what we do, and what we offer. So yeah, similarly to Swedbank, our roots go to 1820, so already 200 years back. But maybe what is important to talk what we are now. So main thing is maybe that confuses people sometimes. Is that in Estonia, we are not operating as a bank anymore. We are a service center, and we help to support Nordea's customers in those Nordic countries where Nordea is operating as a bank. And we have teams working in the financial crime prevention area. We provide back office support in different Nordic languages like Finnish, Swedish, Danish, and Norwegian. And we also have customer support for the Finnish market as well. Currently, we have actually over 750 employees already working in Estonia. So we have been growing quite fast. As a comparison, in 2016, we were only about 70 employees. So the growth has been quite fast. And we are planning to keep growing as well. Our offices are located in Ülemiste city. We have offices in 2 buildings there. And although we are mainly working remotely right now, then after this situation gets better, we are of course returning to the offices. And what maybe also to bring out what are like the biggest groups that are working are Estonians, then also Finnish speakers and Swedish speakers, but knowing a Nordic language is not a must in all roles. We also have roles that require only English, and actually also English is our official working language. And maybe to show that we are very proud of is our diverse nationalities. So we have actually more than 35 different nationalities working in Estonia. So really people from all over the world are working here. And although, yes, some of the positions that we have open, of course, require, Nordic language or some experience in this banking area, there are still positions that do not require that and are a good opportunity to start a career in banking. And we don't have like a certain personality or person we want to see there. What is important also is that just the person shares our values, because we have many different people working together all over the world, and I think this is something that helps us really to cooperate the best. So these are collaboration. Working together as a team is very important to us. Then also ownership, that you sort of if you say something that you're going to do it, then you do it. Then the third one is courage. We definitely encourage people to speak up, share their new ideas, and also fourth one is passion. It is very important to us that people have the spark in their eyes when they're doing their job. So this is why we offer also opportunity to change positions within the company, to grow, become a senior specialist or change the team. So this is very encouraged by us as well. And about our open positions. So currently we have about 90 open positions, but about 22 ads are up in different job portals. So why is there a difference? Those 90 positions are like in different processes, like some of them are in the testing process, in the interview phase, in the reference phase, etc. But the best way to check what is available currently is to check, for example, the main job portals in Estonia, CV Online, CV Keskus, and also all job vacancies are visible in the homepage. And mostly we are hiring for full-time positions. So we have had many master's students, who don't have that many courses left, or they're just writing their thesis. So in that sense, we are definitely offering flexibility, that when you have like a few courses left, you can arrange your working hours according to that. Yeah, we recently also created our career page, so you can check from there what are we doing. We have some interesting stories from our own employees where they are sharing how it is to work in North Estonia. So I definitely suggest to check that out as well. And I would like to also show a short video that would, I think, very nicely show our different backgrounds. I know that not everyone has a banking background, so I will just stop sharing for a second, and I will share the video with the sound. Let's see if it works.
Hei!
Turude Varsama.
Tere!
Moi!
Tere!
Tere!
Hei!
Savaike onek onek shuvecha. Before I was a tour coordinator.
Before I was a CFO.
Before Nordea, I was a gym manager and a fitness instructor.
I was a hotel manager on a passenger ship.
I was a kindergarten teacher.
I was a consultant.
I was a teller.
I was a ski instructor. I am an asset service officer.
I am a senior AML and sanction processing specialist.
I am a senior process specialist.
I'm head of Nordea Estonia.
I'm a business analyst.
I work as a project manager.
And I'm a junior process officer.
And I'm a unit head.
Nordea's team is a diverse set of people with different skills and backgrounds.
You're welcome to join our dynamic team.
So yes, this is everything from my side. So yeah, if you have any questions, then I'm very happy to answer them.
So thank you, Liis. Thank you for showing also the encouraging video and showing the internationality of your company or how diverse you are. Maybe I'll take the first question and then Aniki can follow with the second question. I think you mentioned ownership as a key word of a characteristic of what is important in your company values. Do you want to maybe elaborate a bit more what you mean by this? Because I think it's quite common for various Estonian companies to really appreciate this characteristic in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, happy to elaborate. So I would say that the ownership means that, you know, the employee doesn't have to be constantly, you know, supervised by their leader. You know, no one has to check all the time, like, have you done this and have you done that? It's like, you know, when you accept this position and you start, then you sort of take ownership in what you do.
Yeah, so being sort of also honest to admit mistakes and also.
Absolutely. We all make mistakes, and it is, you know, part of the learning process. So I would say that our leaders are also, you know, very encouraging to sort of openly communicate, and this is what is appreciated also by our employees, that, you know, you can freely go to your leader and say that, okay, I made a mistake here, and yeah.
Thank you. Aniki, word to you.
My question is regarding the work-life balance, perhaps, at Nordea, and exactly how and what do you expect from the potential workers or the interns in terms of, let's say, currently, are they expected to show up in the office and work in the office in the multicultural team, or is it more like independent work at home with occasional video calls, or how does working at Nordea feel like?
Yes, so currently the last year at least has been mostly remotely. Of course, we have some processes that cannot be, you know, done from home, but those who can, they are working from home. And again, some positions don't have the possibility to be flexible, you know, that they have to be communicating with customers from a certain time. But some positions also allow some flexibility, you know, that you can start earlier, you know, finish earlier, start later, end your day later. So in that sense, yes, I would say it's flexible, and we definitely you know, appreciate work-life balance. You know, this is important to us as well.
And we got some questions also from the audience coming in now. Any internships available this summer?
Unfortunately, no. We had a few offers, but they were also for Finnish speakers only. So this is something that you know, we definitely want to think about, that, you know, in the future maybe we can provide more opportunities, but currently, yeah, we don't offer internships. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So Aniki, do we have something more?
Yes, in fact, we do have two more questions. So the first one is, if someone's wondering if you need any specialists in the marketing fields, for example, designers.
Currently, we are not. You know, we don't have like marketing teams located in Estonia. So unfortunately, not in Estonia. But in our, you know, global Nordea.com page, you know, if another country is interesting for you, then of course you can check out. Maybe there is something similar there.
And there's also another question about sort of transition, I guess, from an intern to a worker. and all this, and also in the framework of the studies. So are you preferring interns who are still studying, or who have just graduated and would come and intern with you? That's one part of the question. And the second part is, so that can the interns then also sort of, I guess, graduate to a worker level, and land a long-term job with you?
Yeah, we are currently actually not offering internship. So if a person is still studying, for example, in master's or also in bachelor's, then if this person gets selected, then they will immediately start in this position. Of course, it's like a junior position, but of course you can use all the knowledge that you have gotten from the university, and from there definitely there is a possibility to develop and then grow into different seniority levels at different positions.
Mm-hmm. And there's also, I guess, a question, a specific specification of the same question is still there, that so when you're interning in the company, does getting sort of reference from the same department help to land a job, or does it have no impact at all?
Well, yeah, it's difficult to answer, as we don't have like this sort of internship program, but let's say if you for example start in one team and you want to go to another team, then of course your current leader can sort of give you that reference as well.
Okay. Nikki, I think we have more.
Yes, so we have a couple of people asking about their specific set of backgrounds or skills and whether they would fit in with your company profile. So for example, are there any entry-level positions open for any business analysts or data analysts at Nordea? Or, for example, are there any possibilities perhaps available for people with wellness and spa services or design management backgrounds, or even English literature? So did any of those opportunity or backgrounds perhaps also sound like there could be any vacancies?
Yes, if the person doesn't have the finance or similar background, it is still worth applying if the position is interesting and not very hard requirements are set to have a previous experience. Because during, for example, this pandemic situation, as many tourism companies closed their businesses, then we actually hired people with not non-financial backgrounds to work with us. So for some roles the background is not important, but of course in that case I would suggest to add like a cover letter or motivation letter to explain why this sort of totally different position is interesting for you. But we have people really like from the video ski instructors, you only name it. So and then also to answer this question about business analyst and data analyst, we are looking for to fill those kind of roles. Some are also, of course, requiring previous experience already with a few years, but I know that we have taken some juniors as well with just experience from the university. But you can just sort of check our job ads, what is currently available.
So I think it's a very encouraging message to end with as well, that you have hired in the past people with various backgrounds. You offer career opportunities to people from different fields, and you're hiring a lot, and 90 vacancies, maybe more to come. So indeed, if it sparked somebody's interest, I hope they will now reach out and apply for these open positions. Thank you, Elise,
Thank you.
for providing your presentation and introducing Nordea to us.
Thank you, it was a pleasure.
And I will end this session with, from my side, with two pieces of information. So on the one hand, as I mentioned, this session was brought to you in the framework of a larger project that involves various events. So I would just like to highlight that you can watch the recordings of two of our last events already on YouTube as well. So Volunteer in Estonia and Tech and Engineering in Pärnu are available as recordings, and you can find other available positions in other companies, or learn about what is volunteering and why is it useful and how it can help grow your network in Estonia, which was also one of the questions we had during the earlier session of how to make Estonian contacts. Volunteering is one of such opportunities. And then on this last slide, I just have the links to our project website, to a Facebook group where we share information about the next events, and you can find, you can expect new events coming up in autumn. The details will be specified in the coming months. I will also put these links into the chat. But now we are transitioning basically to our third session. I would like to just say that we'll continue in 5 minutes, not in 10 minutes, as is indicated on the slide. So we'll continue in 15:35. But please to fill in already a feedback survey during this break that Renate has put into the chat. This survey will really help both of us to develop our next events, so we can share all your thoughts about what should be the content and what we can do better in the future. But now we will take a 5-minute break, and then we will continue with this very exciting, very energetic discussion between foreign students or ex-foreign students who have landed a job in Estonia, who will be sharing their own experience in developing their career in Estonia. And then we have Manpower, a recruitment company, also giving you general advice on how to apply for jobs, what to keep in mind. And Manpower themselves are also always hiring. So stay tuned, and we'll continue in 5 minutes with the last segment of our discussion.
And just to mention quickly that I really encourage you to fill in the feedback form. And we are also handing out one 20-euro gift certificate for Apollo for one lucky person that fills in the survey. So make sure to fill it in. We will close the survey tonight, and we will let the lucky winner know by tomorrow who won the gift certificate.
Yes, indeed. And in order to be able to participate in this lottery, make sure to put in your contact details in the last part of the form. But if you don't want to enroll in the lottery, you can still fill in the questionnaire anonymously and then give us your rich feedback for the events. Okay, but stay tuned with us. We will carry on in around 3 minutes. We'll continue with our interactive panel discussion. Okay, so we're back from the break, and then Federico, I'll give the word for you to launch off our last session.
Yes, and here we are indeed for the last session of today's seminar on indeed the Internship and Work Fair for opportunities in Estonia. My name is Federico Plantera, and I am indeed the moderator of this third session. I'm an Italian journalist and sociologist living, based in Tallinn, living in Estonia already for about 3 years in total. And even though I did not graduate in Estonia, I have been an international student in Estonia as part of exchanges. And it's here that now, indeed, I'm connected from Tallinn, and I have here in Estonia my own content and research company called Words Matter. So the third and last session of the day is indeed, first of all, you will not see any presentations, at least not from my side, because this is meant rather to be, maybe we could call it like a lounge room, let's say, for chatting a bit more freely about indeed some of the topic that we could say are salient in the job search in Estonia, but at the same time, for example, based on what we've seen today, like of all these companies with such an international outlook and like so many positions and such a proactive approach in any case to hiring also international graduates, there is in any case more than meets the eye, let's say, because otherwise we will not be getting, for example, questions such as some that we had throughout the day, for example, on still, yes, there are so many opportunities, but how in any case we can actually get get a job in Estonia? Like, do we need to know other Estonians? Do we need to know Estonian? Do we need to basically become part of the Estonian circles in a way? And this is something that we will address today, because indeed the third session is dedicated to the education to work transition for international students in Estonia. And today with me, basically in this panel, there is every one of you, in the sense that this is the interactive session, meaning that yes, in the beginning it will be mostly me, Nino, Tai, Nguyen, and also Kari, Laurima from Manpower to give our contributions. But this is indeed a place where you can ask your questions either like to us or indeed to the specialist of the HR specialist in the session, who is indeed Kari, who's an HR partner at Manpower. But going step by step, we will start with the introductions of two of the indeed international graduates who are also based in Estonia working here. And the first indeed is, I will start from Nino. Nino Merabishvili is from Georgia, and she's currently working at Paxful. And it's also and it's interesting to start from you also, because we start with a little bit of a change, because we talked a lot about like financial positions, or like financial jobs in finance, or like in the tech startups, etc. But your background instead is from social sciences, so from international relations. So Nino, the floor to you for a short introduction, and we'll first introduce all the speakers participating. So I will go with you, just a very, very, very brief profile, let's say, presentation, then to Tai, and then to Kari, and then basically we will get down to see what your individual experiences say about the job search in Estonia, and then we get down to the further questions, let's say, that are mostly for Kari. Nino.
Thank you very much, Federico. And first of all, thanks for this event and great initiative, because you know, I've been through this journey and I can understand how important such events are. But yeah, I'm Nino, I'm from Georgia, as you already mentioned. Yes, I graduated from the social science, but I kind of work in the financial company, and like basically I'm the combination of the technology and social science, you know, the place where social science and technology meet. So I'm not like purely from the social science perspective. Just to clarify that, I live here in Estonia already for 4 years. I graduated from Tallinn University. It was international relations program, and my specialization is security and conflict studies, all the digitalization and stuff. And yeah, I've been searching for jobs here in Estonia 2 years ago, but I work in Paxful already for the last 2 years. So I have not really been searching lately, but I do have some experience which I would like to share. Basically my way after graduation, it can be helpful for some other students.
Perfect. Perfect as the initial introduction. And the next, I will go to Tai Nguyen, who is indeed as a profession, he's a dentist, but he also did a PhD here in Estonia at the University of Tartu. And you can see indeed the medical setting and background in in this snapshot of the gallery view. So Tai, please introduce yourself.
So hello, you can call me Tai. I'm from Vietnam, and my background is that I did it's not a bachelor degree, but basically the dental degree in Vietnam, and I continued doing my PhD in Estonia. And after that, I found a job in Tallinn, and then now I started to work in Tallinn. I have lived in Estonia for 5 years, but mostly was in Tartu before for 4 years when I did my PhD program. And now after that, I moved to Tallinn for about 1 to 2 years now.
Okay, perfect. And then last but absolutely not least, we have Kari. Kari from Manpower. So Kari, you are an HR partner at Manpower. And I mean, I think that most people participating in this session know what Manpower is, but if you also want to attach like a very 2 sentences long company profile, let's say, you're very free to do so.
Yes, hello, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Yes, hopefully Manpower is well known, as we are a global company. In Estonia, we have been active since 2004. And I guess mostly we deal with the recruitment and also rental work. for you, I guess most important is that our job ads can be found from manpower.ee, or you can also visit our Manpower Estonia Facebook or LinkedIn page, and you have the chance to also add your CV to our database from our web pages if this is something that is of interest to you.
But Kari, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically we could say in a way that manpower, that let's say the role of manpower in Estonia and in general, also like across labor markets, is basically indeed like also to help us bridge a certain maybe also like communication or understanding gap that there is between the prospective candidate employees and the employers who are indeed seeking to employ people. So your contribution will be very valuable today, because we've seen, for example, what many companies in Estonia, both from the private sector or like the NGO, rather volunteering, let's say, sector, are looking for, or like might be looking for in terms of prospects. But indeed, there might be more to say about that. Also, for another reason, which I think it's a little bit of a critical observation, of course, from my perspective, but so personally, like entirely to be how to say, like attributed to myself. But I would go as far as saying that indeed, from some of these sessions, and this is basically what will start now, the introduction of the personal experiences from Nino and Tai, and then we get to you, Kari. But for the whole audience, basically, there might be the feeling that there are so many jobs in Estonia, there are like so many opportunities, and there are so many things and so many options. You could just even, for example, like even do a search on LinkedIn, and you see that there are a lot of like booming startups or like tech companies that are looking for personnel, also indeed in the financial sector, as we saw today. However, at the same time, international graduates do find it hard to get jobs in Estonia. Like, I'm not even talking about internships, but actually like to get, for example, either temporary or permanent positions that are not, in any case, the extreme entry level type of occupation you can get at any company. So let's start from Nino, because Nino, indeed, you said that you work at Paxful, which you have called, and in a way, yes, even though your university and educational background is in social sciences and international relations, which is also mine, by the way. I will say a bit more also about myself later after everyone else. But yeah, so what do you do at Paxful? And before getting there, what was your path?
Thank you. Really good questions, by the way, because I kind of agree that it's not so easy to get a job as an international student, but I also can say that it's not impossible, or there are not like obstacles, so to say, because, you know, in my opinion, if you are like really dedicated to something, and if you are trying, and if you are doing all the right steps, then you are going to achieve your goal. For me, I can say that after graduation, it was extremely complicated to find a job. But the path I went through was lots of internships, was working during the studies, was high grades at university. I think some HRs mentioned the referrals and basically recommendations. Such things matter here in Estonia, at least from my experience, because I've been applying in different companies, and after graduation, I was kind of, you know, considering opportunities like where can I go, and I did not really want to rush into something. And actually, even before graduation, because I joined Paxful like after 1 month of my graduation, basically, even less. But the key is to
Sorry, how long after?
Like 1 month.
Okay.
But I was searching for the exactly the correct job, right job for me, because as I mentioned, I'm like kind of mix of the social science and technology. So I wanted something which really resonates with me. So that's why I was kind of, you know, looking for the different job opportunities. What I do in Paxful is I work in the information security. Basically, this is my specialization in international relations, security and conflict studies, and I work for the investigations team in the information security excellence.
And so today, if you were to look back, let's say, to your path, would you say that maybe there was something that you, I mean, maybe looking back, you thought, this thing like could have been done differently, maybe, or like this was the reason why it was somehow a journey, let's say, to get there. And then as the follow-up to that question, I would say, are you satisfied, for example, with the position and the job that you have today?
I think I'm really lucky in that sense, because I'm really happy in Paxful. It's been like 2 years already since I'm here, so otherwise I would not be here. So I'm really grateful for that. But again, this is like personal experience, and I think not every international student is facing like the great experiences every day. But I would really recommend, and also like answer your question, what could I have done like differently and stuff like that. I would say that again, you should like try different things, and you should check out different companies. You should go to the events. Now I think we can have some networking events, and for example, you should attend such events because you can gain lots of information, like what to do and how to apply. For example, from the very beginning, I did not even know which websites I should like search jobs in Estonia, let's say. Okay, LinkedIn I knew, but I did not know the work in Estonia and stuff like that. But I think what I could have done better is that I would be focused more on the soft skills, because I remember when I was going through the interviews, like, you are like fresh graduate and you are from like academia, and you think that you should know all the answers, like professionally, you should know all the security related questions, and maybe even some technical parts. You should like kind of analyze things and stuff like that. But I think this was not exactly the right approach, because it's like, again, the student's approach, when you wanna like get the high grades and you wanna provide all the information about the topic. But I would be more like myself. I would just introduce myself, who I am, what I do, what I like, because personality also matters. Not only personality, but I would say who you are matters a lot.
And this is a point that we will pick up later indeed with Kari, but before indeed moving on to that part of the conversation, then Tai, the same question basically is now just a turn to you. Like, what was your, because you have not, because before the PhD that you had at Tartu University, you were already in Estonia, or you decided to come to Estonia for education and then also stayed here?
I already worked at a dentist when I was in Vietnam, and then I planned to do a PhD, and then I met my supervisor, who is Estonian, was in Vietnam. That's why I had the connection with Estonia from the very beginning. And then I did the PhD in Tartu University of Tartu. And then I think the most important thing, if you doing the academia, then is to have a very good connection with your supervisors or the academic environment in your field, because that one help you to find a job when you graduate. It's not so easy actually to find a job as a researcher in certain field in Estonia, I think, because usually the positions are not available. They already full, and they don't really take new people every year. So it's quite difficult to continue the job as a researcher. So I have to, when I did my PhD, I already found some job to work as a dentist. So after I graduated, I already had the job. I applied to continue with the resident permit and then continue working as a dentist. And during that time, because of the connection through my supervisors, I got it's kind of a temporary position at a school in Tallinn, where they're looking for a lecturer to do basically like a visiting lecturer. You just go, give some lectures, and that's all. And then because they don't really have the dentists who do those kind of work, so they continue cooperate with me throughout the years, even until now. So I give them short lecture throughout semesters, and now I got a part-time position in that college.
But how would you evaluate that your path, let's say, towards then like getting to a more, not to the job in itself, but like to a rather more stable position, let's say, in the way that you were looking at your situation in Estonia? Let's say, how would you evaluate that path has been? Was it complicated? Was it very stressful? Did it seem a bit insurmountably hard at some point? What would you say?
I think it's more like the plan as you go. You should have a goal, or you should have kind of a goal, and then you plan how you reach that. Because I already planned to stay when I moved to Estonia to study, and then you have to plan how you're gonna do that. You can just not like, oh, I'm gonna stay here, and then you just stay here. You have to find a way how to navigate. Can you find a job, or can you do something else? If not, then what is the backup plan? And then luckily that I found the jobs in the meanwhile ready study. So I kind of get to know that it's kind of possible that I'm gonna stay here with the job that I can find. And when I apply for the resident permit to stay longer, the policemen, they actually say, you probably get it because we don't really have so many dentists here. they all want to go to Finland. So that's the kind of thing that we can do. So I think have a clear vision what you want to do, and then plan step by step, and also have backup plan.
Okay, no, that's absolutely enough. And also, like, you are, both of you, Nino and Tai, you actually pointed out like some things that in a way fall into place very nicely with the questions that I'm going to ask to Kari. And I say we are going to ask because in any case, we are all like former international students or like international graduates in Estonia, as also part of the audience. And in any case, indeed, to the audience, I would like to say, please, if you have any question, just post it in the chat because I will be keeping an eye to the questions and to the chat mark. So anything, for example, that you would like to know, either from our personal experience or from Kari and the expert opinion, indeed, then feel free to ask it there, and I will be basically your spokesperson in that sense. Two things that you mentioned, Nino and Tai. I will start from Tai. Myself, for example, I'm a journalist and a sociologist, and I have indeed, like my educational background is in political science and demography and sociology. So like statistical analysis applied to, for example, I don't know, labor market and employment policy. So, and I totally agree with you. Like, for example, I was very interested in looking for researcher positions in Estonia, but especially for certain educational fields, like areas of education, such as, for example, political science or sociology, or like you really have to find the right fit. And it seems that in any case, most of the options are in academia and not that much, for example, in the policy centers or like think tanks or even public organizations or para-public organizations, let's say. So definitely there seems to be a sort of premium for certain educational backgrounds, let's say, and job aspirations in Estonia as compared to others. This could also emerge a little bit from the fact that today, for example, we saw so many private companies that are somehow involved in tech presenting themselves, as well as the financial sector. Nino, you yourself, for example, have said that, I mean, Paxful is by all means a tech company. But Kari, here we get indeed like to the first question for you, which is based on your observation. So really, let's start with your own opinion. Do you think that there is a bit of a mismatch, let's say, between the international profiles that come out of the Estonian universities and what instead employers are looking for? And is there a difference in that sense also from sector to sector for the Estonian labor market?
Okay. I wouldn't say that I haven't observed such a very specific mismatch, at least not, if there's a mismatch, it also is in education in general. But although it is true, just that even if it's an Estonian position, so when an Estonian comes out of the university, I would say maybe there the problem is more like the expectations of the grad student who is thinking of themselves as maybe ready-made specialists, but the employee doesn't see them that way. So it doesn't differ much. Maybe Estonians are, let's say, more confident that they are now specialists and they should get a good salary and they know everything already. But the employees, although they value education, they see that it gives this kind of analytical thinking, being the ability to see the bigger picture. But at the same time, they still value the work experience. And even these people who have graduated, they still need to prove themselves work-wise. So you still, maybe you don't start at the very entry-level position, but still usually a junior position where you actually start proving yourself. So it depends what is the expectation. If you think that universities provide the ready-made specialists, then no, they don't provide it, or at least the employers don't see it that way.
Into what you said is that do you think that Estonian employers then pay more attention, let's say, to previous work experience and soft skills, or there is still some sort of a linear connection between what you study at the university, what you put years of effort into, let's say, and the first or second position that you might acquire in the labor market?
Of course, it depends a bit on the field of study. If we speak about law, then you definitely need to have that previous degree. But I would say that work experience is valued more in general, work experience and soft skills. I wouldn't, with sectors, yes, it's field of study that law, or maybe with IT, of course, there's people who already do it at home and they don't even study that much, or they already start working on their first or second year. But I wouldn't say that there is a very linear connection between the field of study and the first work experience, only in very specific fields.
What about instead previous work experience and next work experience? You know, this is a question that, for example, I did not think of when approaching this session, but watching, for example, then thinking about it a little more and watching some of the videos that we saw earlier today, for example, where someone who was, I don't know, like a gym manager then went into auditing at a company, or like something at a bank or something like that. No, so what are these traits that are actually valued, let's say, by employers in Estonia, regardless of whether the prospective employee is international or Estonian? I mean, is there like this soft skill component really seem to be prevalent also, because does that maybe mean that also employers in Estonia would rather take on someone who has these skills and then form this person, let's say, like train this person themselves?
I guess, again, it's very difficult to bring out very certain traits. Companies are so different, and different companies look for different traits. I guess maybe I'm
yeah, but soft skills are general across sectors. I mean, they don't really change. So, for example,
yeah, but in a way, still okay. Let's say startups. Usually, they look for somebody very independent, somebody who is willing to take responsibility. Also, this came out today, that somebody who doesn't really need that much hand holding. That the person, like from Norde, said that they take ownership of their work responsibility. But if we speak about positions, in some positions, maybe it's kind of entry-level customer service, they're looking more somebody who's just polite, dutiful, a good communicator. So it's very different. And today, very many people, also Nino said that be yourself. I know it's easy to say that, just find the right fit in the company. It may not be very easy. But companies, yes, are looking for somebody who fits in the team, whatever that team then may be. So you have to be yourself and find the right fit.
But then at this point,
it's easier said than done. But
Yeah, of course, indeed. Like that, this is the thing that I would like, for example, to not give our audience, which is the fact that the feeling that it's easy and that instead there are so many opportunities, so many possibilities, and that maybe it's even more up to them to actually I don't know, that if they, for example, do not get a job, then it's rather because of some of their characteristics or something else that in any case we almost cannot see, but that happens. So the thing Estonia graduates in order to enter the labor market fully?
I guess one good plus is still the previous work experience. However, I have seen the ease in companies when they want to hire somebody international, that they have already worked in an Estonian company. Somebody has already trusted them. It's weird how important for some companies to see. It gives this kind of proof of somebody has already trusted them.
Yeah, but then how do you get to work for an Estonian company who wants you to have worked for another Estonian company if you don't start working in an Estonian company?
True, but yes, as you saw from today, there are actually a lot of companies now. More and more are coming. Let's say I have done this work for 8 years. 8 years ago, the picture was not so good. There are more and offer the opportunities or have the opportunities to have the language speak, just English language speakers. So because truth be told, yes, Estonian language skills in Estonia is still important for many companies, and that unfortunately is something that stops a lot of people getting the job. But at some point, yes.
I got an amazing question right now. Just I was just looking at that because one of the members of our audience, and then I see that already we have 2 questions. One that was actually asked in the previous session. I just pinned it because I know that that is actually a very interesting one, because it seems that there are many of these like chicken and egg type of doubts and mechanisms that say that it seems if you don't have this, you cannot do this, but if you cannot do this, then you also do not get this, and so like. But in any case, a very interesting one is here, which is an audience member asks, fit in the team, quotation marks, means if the person has less intercultural conflicts with local Estonians. The follow-up to that question is, what internationals should be careful about or keep in mind to fit in teams in Estonian workplaces? This could be quite a big element, actually.
I guess, yeah, but okay, now the situation is that you think of a situation where you as a foreigner fit into an Estonian team, but usually the team also already is international, at least for the companies who hire. But okay, let's take the case where you as a foreigner have to fit into an Estonian team. I would say if they're already willing to have you on the team interview, then they are not worried about the regular things or that you're different. They're still looking for the regular human things, I guess. That you're open-minded, that you're tolerant, that you're able to communicate with other people, respect other people. These are still, I guess, the main this kind of human qualities. So if you're a bit more louder than the regular Estonian, so this can all be overlooked if you have the regular human qualities, I would say.
If I may say, I don't think that like being a bit louder or not is an intercultural conflict. I think that rather here the intercultural conflict might be something, for example, I don't know, having a different set of values, let's say, or like for example, where a certain approach even to the act of work rather than the work to be performed, but just the act of working, for example, is seen in slightly different ways, for example, across countries. Tai already raised a pen, so before getting back to you, Kari, like Tai, what's your take?
It's not related to my dentistry, but back to the research thing. When I won a prize to represent the University of Tartu to present the research as a broad audience with the like worldwide competition, they have to revise my poster to be more Nordic way, because the way I
more what? Sorry,
more Nordic style.
Ah,
because the way that I have to present a poster for the research. The way I designed it a little bit more colorful with some cartoon art stuff. And then the professor's like, we want something more simple, something more Nordic style. So they basically want something, everything black and white, elegant design, and quite simple, more than the one that I usually do. That kind of a different culture aspect, I can say.
This is actually a very good. I mean, it might seem like a trivial example, but it's a perfect example of this in the sense that the set of values in terms of like it generally, let's say, the umbrella values, such as, for example, like designing something that can be presented to a public. Like that is, let's say, the umbrella term for that. But of course, there are intercultural differences. I mean, for example, even see the way that I am, for example, hosting, I don't know, participating in the discussion, and the way that others might have participated in the discussion in a different way, of course. So rather, I think that the question on the intercultural conflicts might have been a little more about this, but I think we can indeed conclude that if, and this is like also my contribution, let's say, to the answer, which is that if the team or if the company in Estonia already has an international outlook, then it's very likely that the openness indeed also towards the intercultural diversity might be much higher than in other companies. And we could say that Estonian companies, indeed, even just for market necessities of accessing different markets and reaching more customers, are actually opening up to that, because otherwise they will not be able even to reach this new pool of customers. Let's not forget that Estonia has 1 million inhabitants. I mean, 1,300,000 inhabitants. So companies to scale up have to do it. So what I would say is that maybe like if you think as to the audience member who asked this question, if you think that there might be that is like a component that is that you're sensitive in the sense of receptive towards, then also take that into consideration when applying to different companies. Take the team composition. You can go on LinkedIn. You can check the people who work in a certain company on LinkedIn, for example, and that might also give you some hints about that. Another question that we had was indeed about this like chicken and egg type of mechanisms. So an audience member writes, could you give me some advice as international workers in Estonia, how to build network with, this is for us. Okay. But I think maybe also for you, Kari, because you're the only Estonian in the panel. So, I mean, who better than you also? How to build a network with locals and find a job in Estonia. This is for Nino, Tai, and me, because the explanation is, I know it is important to network with locals to take an internship or get a job, but I don't have any Estonian friends. It's a bit of a chicken and egg deal. I cannot get internship or job or volunteers because I don't have network with locals. I cannot have network with locals because I don't have any work experience with Estonians in the local community. Nino and Tai, your opinion, I don't know if you're actually to my right or left. I see you in my right or left, so that's why I'm pointing like this. But what do you think about this? And I will also then to the audience member who asked this question, I will also give you a little bit of a sociological insight into that.
Really good question, by the way. I can relate to this question because when I moved here, like from the very beginning, of course, I didn't have any friends, not locals, neither foreigners, but it's the process, you know. For example, again, from my experience, I started like networking, let's say, from university, like from my fellow students when we were working on the different projects, then from our professors, then different companies coming to university presenting some things. There are lots of events, lectures, webinars, stuff like that, like such events, for example. So these places, I don't know, when I was hanging out with my friends, networks, my main idea was not to build networks, you know. It was not that I came here and I had a plan that I'm going to talk to these people because I want to get a job. It's not working exactly this way, you know. If you are friends with someone and you are not the right fit, of course you won't get the job or the internship, but you can get useful information, or you can get something like some tips how to like communicate with people. We were talking about communication, and also I really want to add one more thing. Kairi mentioned about that when you graduate, like I myself, when I graduated, I was thinking that I'm like good in my field. I have good grades, I have friends, I have connections, I know some people, Estonians, foreigners, and I can get a job like easily, even before graduation. I was like so sure about it. But you know, at some point you realize that working environment is completely different from the environment you have at university, let's say. Even your connections from university are different. Even your networks from university can work for the internship. For job can be a little bit, you know, it may work or may not, like from my experience again. But the key again is to try different things. Again, Ty mentioned that, you know, have a plan. Like, okay, don't be, I was not friends with people just to get a job, but just have a plan that, you know, maybe some people can be helpful, can provide some information. So it's all about planning.
Ty.
I think with the networking, it's more like, well, basically now I still don't know so many Estonians or foreigners friends also. But the thing is that Estonian is small, and if you work in a very narrow field, well, as my supervisor says, Estonian is small, they talk, everyone knows everyone. So, and she said, if you screw up in one place, they already know, and then it's hard to move to another place. So I think, in a sense that we maybe if they have, it depends on your field. If they have the fair or the job fair somewhere, you try to go there and find a connection. I think it's more about to be proactive rather than just looking for the connections and hopefully that you get something out of it. Like nowadays they have so many information, you just need to know where to find information, basically.
That is true. One thing that I would like to add to that is maybe that sorry, I'm not sure at the moment how much, I mean, one thing that I wanted to say, the sociological insight, was the fact that the literature on sociology has actually shown that also this was a seminal work from the 70s where called The Strength of Weak Ties, where basically certain connections in society, like connections that are not even like closest friends, but the more people you meet, basically, the higher is the likelihood that you would actually meet the one through which eventually, not that would give you a job, but that through which eventually you might get to know about opportunities. Because indeed the topic here, rather than knowing the person who introduces you to another person, is knowing people who open up opportunities in your view, in the sense that also allow you to expand the look in when you actually search, for example, for a job or are looking for that. Personally, I'm not very qualified in answering the question about like how, for example, to meet these other people, like to meet other friends, because I think that my experience has been pretty peculiar in this sense, because I was not an international student in Estonia, in the sense that I was not enrolled in a degree in Estonia. I was an exchange student, but from the very, very beginning, the first time that I was here was in 2014, and the second in 2016. So first during the bachelor and the second during the master's. And I also didn't know anyone here, but I basically only met Estonians, and for a very long time I hung out only with Estonians and Finnish people, basically at the university, which I think is quite an unicum in the international students landscape in that sense. So basically, I mean, personally, I did not find those problems of integration, and I am by no means saying that this is a general experience. I think that instead, the general experience of the international student in Estonia is quite the opposite, in the sense that the integration needs to happen for building your ties around you in society. And some of these ties are stronger ones, the bonds, and some are weaker. So for example, those that will help you also to find other jobs. But we're already almost running out of time, but there's another question, another thing I want to know from Kari. Before getting to another question that I saw we received for Nino and Tai, Kari, in your opinion, how do you think that in a way being integrated somehow in the Estonian community rather than the Estonian society, because getting a job in any case is also like a way to further your integration in the Estonian society as part of the productive, let's say, society. But for the Estonian community, do you think this is very important, like these connections, this networking, these references, let's say, in order to for an international student to get a job in Estonia? And if yes, why?
I would hope at least that it's not as important nowadays as it was maybe during previous times where you had to have connections to be able to get a job. I would say that these definitely help because still there's this kind of element of trust. At least when we speak about big companies hiring, then they value very much when their own internal employee recommends somebody. So I guess this is one thing that that a connection could be useful for, because employers do value these yes, their own employees referral programs. So, but hopefully, I would say that the situation is not that dire that when you don't have connections, you don't get a job. So this definitely helped, but hopefully you can also get a job on your own merits.
Nino.
I just really wanted to add here, because I was the one talking about connections, but I do share your opinion how connections work and the theories you shared, because I myself did not get a job with referral. Like the actual job I'm having like for last 2 years, I didn't know anyone and I didn't have any friends in the company or nothing. But again, you hear something from someone or you meet someone, like again, this is not exactly the main way that you need to have someone to get a job. Just really wanted to emphasize on that.
Yes, and to that, if I can say also something about my personal experience, I'm not an employee in Estonia in the sense that I have my own company here with which I do like content and research. So I have a number of customers which are like public and private organizations. So in that sense also was not like, there was a certain like strange referral mechanism at some point going on across organizations where, for example, someone was saying, that Italian journalist who was writing that thing, etc., etc. So that's also like how the weak ties that I explained before, like work in that way. But let's say that it is probably a big determinant, let's say a big success factor to know people in the community, because knowing people in the community also works as a bit of a token of trust, indeed, as Kari said, in the sense that a little bit in the way as if, for example, having worked previously for an Estonian company then might increase, let's say, the trust that the next Estonian company that you would like to work for might have in you. In the same way, basically, if you are integrated in the society, in the community, in the Estonian community first, and then let's say increased integration, then that also probably is a determinant, or not a predictor maybe, but definitely a factor. So what I would say in that sense is maybe the question was rather about where to go and meet where to go and meet people, but this is rather something for like that is a problem, but that is also a bit too specific to the different spectrum of the experiences that we have, the things that we like to do, the places where we like to go, the people that we like to speak to, because everyone belongs to a different group in any case in that sense. So this is maybe like a rather more complex topic to address, but the interesting aspect about it is that this is another one of those like chicken and egg type of problems that might actually impact the outcome of your job search in Estonia. At least we got another question before the one to Nino and Tai. There was a rather technical one where I would like Kari's input on, which was about the legal support, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, do employers in Estonia tend to? No, Mart is responding. Okay, so I will leave it to Mart. Okay, perfect. So to Nino and Tai, and then I think we actually do not really have a lot of time for more. There is a question for you from the audience that says, relating to what Kari was saying, do you see Estonian language important for your career in Estonia? And have you studied or are you planning to do it in the future? Any recommendations here for the listeners? I also might have some recommendations, so you go first.
Can I talk first? Again, we'll have patience. I will leave soon.
Absolutely.
With the
Head first.
area, it's definitely it's quite based on the field. If your field or your company they tend to have English speaking employers, then it's not a problem. But if you are the only foreigner in an Estonian company or a workplace, then language barrier is kind of a thing. Because as a dentist, if I want to find a job, there's certain clinics they put very clearly you should have good Estonian and or Russian. But some clinic they don't really mention that. Then I contacted the one don't mention like in a very upfront about the language skill. And then when we talk to the owners of the clinic, it depends on the actual owners. Are they tolerant with a foreigner workers or not? I have been to all the clinics where somewhere they say, you need to speak Estonian, otherwise we cannot really have you here. Another place I tried like for several days and it didn't work out. Then I left to another place. And the one that I work in here is quite okay. The way I work is like both Estonian and English mixed, and it's also depending on the patients. Some of them speak English also, some of them quite understandable with my not very good Estonian. So it quite dependent on the working place. And the way that you can learn Estonian, there are several ways. I already studied that at the University of Tartu. I studied with the school at the university. And after that, I continue with the online learning from the
Institute.
The
Integration Foundation, probably.
There's another one with the Kenlete or Kenle something.
Okay. An online institution, like an online course provider. Yes.
That one's not really helpful for me, so I have to go back to the traditional class. I went with the integration, integration
foundation.
They provided the course. It's supposed to be physical class, but because of the COVID, then they moved to online platform. I had that one. Well, somehow the online platform, it didn't really work for me. So I need to find another place where we had the actual physical class. And again, at some point of the COVID, so we moved back to online. But I think Estonian language is not an easy language that you can master in a short time. And even when you get B1, it doesn't really mean that you can speak Estonian perfectly. So it takes quite a long time to like absorb and use in the language in the sense.
Okay, Tai, I think we need also to say goodbye to you because you have the patient, right? But thanks a lot for joining in, and we will just continue for a few minutes more with Nino and Kari. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day. Nino, I will just, before getting to you on the Estonian language topic, I will just chip in for a second because I also did the course that Tai mentioned online. But I have to say that I don't think that is really feasible or realistic to strive for learning Estonian, like to C1 level. What I would rather suggest in that sense is, let's say, to first learn the basics. Also, there are the free courses that are provided by the Integration Foundation that are available for learners in general, not just foreigners, but also, for example, for Russian Estonians, and they're for free. So you don't necessarily have to pay to get an introduction to Estonian. But I have to say that based on my personal experience, what worked even better than getting A2 in Estonian, which is nothing, of course, but still better than nothing. What worked better for me was to get more into the culture, get the cultural references, the pop references, the pop culture reference, like the mass culture references, like that's, which doesn't mean just, the song festival, blah, 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 but also like other things, like, I don't know, the TV shows, the songs, the the singers that everyone loves. I don't know, like this type of stuff. Let's say that works even better sometimes, because I don't think that in any case speaking Estonian to the level A2 would go a long way, unless you are in the service sector and in a sector that is facing customers where it is essential to know at least the basics of Estonian to face those customers. But if it's instead a bit more about one of the questions that was asked before, like the integration in a team, for example, or like the intercultural barriers or something like that, I could never, of course, deny or like hide the fact that I'm from south of Italy, but at the same time, I have my own introduction, let's say, to Estonian mass culture. And I have to say that really helped me in terms of like getting acquainted and like talking about it also with other Estonians. Nino.
I totally agree with you. This is like, I was always thinking that this is key for me. Because again, the basic Estonian or any other language, Russian, English, whatever, can help you in any culture. If you don't understand basics of the culture, like history, for example, I'm really like, Estonia has really interesting history, by the way, and it's really fascinating for me, like just to speak with my friends about like history or some events and stuff like that. This has been really helpful, and it still is, because integration can be only from the one side, right? Like if, let's say, some Estonians also really want to integrate, right? Maybe the foreigners, maybe not. It should be like
depends.
Mutual. It should be mutual, right? Okay, so I think at least I always like try to integrate somehow the language without language, the culture, history, but back to the language requirements, I don't think that it's like really necessary to speak again C1 Estonian, because I think it is really difficult language. And also, if your job requirement is not that you really need C1 Estonian, then like basics can really help you. And I speak like A2, I think, for now, yeah. And I don't think that I have like problems in the daily life or even at work. Like in Paksu, we have really international environment and everybody speaks English, so I have not faced any issues that's in that sense. But with my friends, yeah, of course, sometimes I try to like say some words in Estonian.
I would say though that here we gave a little bit like the pop / already integrated person with a job view to that, because on the other hand, we must also acknowledge that there are places and jobs that are not necessarily facing the customers. And here I move to Kari, where there is a language requirement and a language barrier that is very, very often definitely crowding out a whole lot of people who might apply to that job. And the job might not necessarily require to speak Estonian to Estonian customers, right? So is that also maybe like something that happens sometimes, and that maybe, I don't know, we might say puts a little bit of pressure on the Estonian companies also to unlock those opportunities for foreigners as well?
It is true. I do agree. I do agree that in some cases, I see it as, let's say, a level of comfort that of course, it does pose challenges when you take the first foreigner in. To be very open and honest, Manpower itself went through that change, I think, a year back, when we took our first person who didn't speak any Estonian. So you had to change when you have your general meetings, you have to change the language. Yes, maybe when you're in, okay, yes, the Corona period started, so everybody is remote, it's mostly remotely, but in the coffee corner, is it okay if I speak to another person in Estonian when that person is also in the coffee corner? Or this does pose some challenges, but sometimes I do see it's more of a comfort, or taking the first step, which is so painful. But I guess when it's not strictly needed, or they cannot find that person in Estonia, it is still the fact that some companies don't want to take that step yet. But more and more do.
Yeah, definitely more and more. I mean, as I also said, for example, having been here for the first time, like in 2014, the labor market and jobs. Although back then I was not really like looking for jobs then, because I was a student during the bachelor. Then I can definitely say that the situation has changed a lot in the past 5 years, and I think to an extent that you cannot really appreciate in larger countries or like countries with more, I don't know, yeah, just larger countries with larger economies, such as in Italy, for example, or in France, or in Spain, or in Germany. But then from this concluding point, then I will conclude the session also because we are a little bit off time, and what this means. Basically, what we can draw from the conversation that we had today is also that, first of all, job seekers, so everyone who's looking to find a position in Estonia, of course, should not, let's say, get into the search thinking, okay, I know everything, I should have all the doors open, like, let me get in, let's say. But at the same time, as Nino highlighted, for example, since finding a job as an international person in Estonia is something that, like in all relationships, requires the work of two people. In three or more, it's already a party rather than a relationship. And then it's like, then that means that also from the side of the Estonian labor market, of course, there are things that are still under development in a way. There are still a bit work in progress. So for how, in any case, Estonia has opened up actually in the past years, we should not look at the Estonian labor market, both from the supply side of labor and the demand of labor, let's say, as something that is set in stone and will always be like this, or that cannot be changed. Not only your own personal path, of course, like it changes from experience to experience. And so there are some things that you can do, such as checking the companies that actually have a more international outlook, check the jobs that maybe you can do first to acquire a certain standing within the labor market, and then move on to something else, for example, that suits you better. Then apart from these things, the main thing that I would like to say is to not lose hope, because as all is in development and has been very much and very fastly in development in the past 5 years, that doesn't mean, or the fact that the job search has been disappointing up to this moment for you who are watching, maybe potentially, does not mean that there is not a place for you. This, I would say, that is one of the conclusions. But now I would like, thanks a lot, Nino and Kari, for participating. It was very nice to speak to you. You can say hi.
Thank you as well. And have a nice day from my part.
Thank you as well. Definitely really useful conversation we had. Hopefully can help some of international students in Estonia.
Yes, definitely. And also, if you have, I hope also we answered your questions of the audience. And now we'll just give the floor to Renate to conclude this day of the Internship and Work Fair.
Yes, thank you, Federico. Thank you, Nino. Thank you, Kari. Thank you, Thai, for participating in the panel discussion and for offering us such great input and ideas. Indeed, we have come to the end of the day. Thank you so much to those who have managed to sit through those. Oh, I don't even know how long have we been online already. But anyways, thank you for being here with us today, and I really hope that that you have found this event useful and that it will help you with your future endeavors on the Estonian job market. And to maybe add to the idea of how to find friends in Estonia, I would, from the Federation of Estonian Student Union side, very much encourage you to join the student movement, to join the student councils of your universities or other clubs at universities that also involve a lot of Estonian students and that are very much open to international students as well.
just wanted to say, I am the living example of that. When I was at Tallinn University, that's how I got to know most Estonians in the first place. So really, if you're a student and you're watching this, like really do it, because it really, really helps.
So we have a good example from Federico that does definitely work. But to come to the conclusion, we still very much hope that you will find the time to fill in the feedback form. That you can find the link in the chat. And as said before, we will hand out one 20-euro gift certificate card for one participant that fills in the survey, and we will contact the lucky winner tomorrow. But from my side, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a real pleasure, and I very much hope that we will meet again, hopefully in some physical form during future events. Thank you very much.